Say hello to Miss Samantha Lee, former wife of Tyrese Gibson, and she's got a few things she'd like to say.
Speak to her in her most emotional moments. And it was people that would be for the relationship.
Right.
And I know a lot of people had different kind of like comments about the person and everything like that, but the message of what he was saying for me resounds true, because the people I had in my ear at the time were not for that.
Let me ask you this, because I think that's such a good point. Like when you're even in that spot when you're emotional,
Yes.
you're in the pit of your relationship.
Yes.
It's so important to make sure you have people who are pro-marriage, pro-relationship,
100%.
pro your current relationship
100%.
to be able to help, as much as possible,
100%.
make the best decision to keep the marriage going.
Yeah.
When everybody may not have access to that counsel. So let me ask you this. If we can go back, and if I were able somehow to insulate you with a pro-marriage, pro-relationship community, do you think you still would have actually gone through a divorce?
Not at that time.
Okay.
I don't know what would have happened. Oh, I've never said this publicly.
No, this is what we do.
This is initiated exclusive, baby.
Delano, make sure you zoom in on this one, okay?
Yeah. It gets deep.
Don't actually no. I want to deny myself. I want to deniability. Yeah, no, the truth about the matter is that if I had different people in my ear at that time, I would not have made that decision. No.
Wow.
I wouldn't. And that's the truth. I try my very best at this point in my life to be what I didn't have in that moment. Because I think that women were like, I'm an extremely emotional person. People that know me know that about me. I'm the kind of person that like, okay, I feel so strong, and I can ruminate. I can get so lost in my thoughts. I know a lot of women are like that. Like not all of us, right? But some of us are, just like a lot of men can be like that. But I know women specifically, there will be moments where they'll be like, I'm ready to be done. I'm ready to be done. I'm ready to be done. I can't stand this. He don't do this. He don't do that, blah, 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 blah. And we're just focusing on these things. And because you don't have a certain person in your life to check you and say, sis, what about this? What about this? What about these strengths? What about what he's not doing? Like those types of things. That can get you thinking about the positive aspects of this person that you may not be thinking about when you're upset. You're only thinking about what you're mad about. You're not thinking about all the other positive aspects of this person. And so in those moments, you need somebody to be the person for that person.
Yeah.
In those moments.
So it's still some.
Okay. So those are the comments from Samantha Lee. As you can see, she's a very humble person there. Well, very glad that she's had her say, because in the last couple of hours, Tyrese has posted a video and he has responded to it. These are his words.
All right. Hold on. Look, man, I was not going to respond to this video of my ex that's now gone viral. She is loving it. Congratulations, you went viral again over something else that you said, because you're trying to build up your YouTube page and get your followers up. Listen, man, listen. If you had people in your ear that influenced you into leaving your husband and your 1-year-old child, your innocent 1-year-old child, we both were divorcee kids, grew up in toxic environments, torn in between our old family, new family, stepfather, stepmother. That's a life that we both lived. And you packed up a 1-year-old, put a COVID mask on top of the Ring cameras, And I was literally in an airplane on my way home to fight for my marriage and my family. You're heartless. None of your friends recognize you. This is all about money. If you had friends in your ear, you're lying, you're gaslighting, you're playing. The only person that was in your ear was your mama. Her name is Patricia Randolph. You didn't have people in your ear. The amount of people that was supposedly in your ear, you also had a whole lot of people like Aventer Gray, Taffy Dollar, Creflo Dollar's wife, who married us. You had a whole lot of people in your ear telling you that you're about to do something stupid, impulsive, and y'all are actually not going through anything that would make you want to leave your husband. Let's go even further. When Aventer Gray and Pastor John Gray were having their own marital issues at the time, you arranged a therapy session with Aventer Gray at our house. And when she walked out of her therapy session, she walked into the foyer where the Bumblebee is, and there was 50 boxes with like 7 or 8 people there packing up all the shit to leave the house. And I was in an airplane on my way home to try and fight and save our marriage. So if you had people in your ear at the time, they must be still in your ear, because you're still trying to get $20,000 a month for a 5-year-old. You make $160,000 a year on your own. This is all a game. You're clout chasing. You're something that I don't even know. A simple woman, not into materialistic things, don't care about fame and mansions and popularity. You're everything that you told me and all of your friends and loved ones that you wasn't. If you wanted to be famous, boo-boo, that's all you had to say. You didn't have to play this game that you wasn't. Now you out here playing on single mothers and their emotions, playing on women that are actually in abusive relationships and fucked up marriages that are toxic and dark and dysfunctional. That's not what that was. You think I would have a song entitled "I Don't Think You Ever Loved Me" if I didn't really feel that way? You think I would have a song out called "Love Transaction" if I didn't realize that it was never love, it was just a transaction? This shit is about money. You've hired 3 law firms trying to fucking suck me dry. I'm approaching $1 million in legal fees, and we had a prenup. You already tried to ask me to come back. You already tried to reconcile. I told you I was in a relationship with Zelly, and I was not willing to go and break this off or cut this woman off because you decided to wake up on a Wednesday and come back and play in the sandbox. Everything about the way you left me was heartless. It was evil. You never considered me, your marriage, and let alone your innocent 1-year-old child. She had to celebrate her 2nd birthday apart. And if you really are really suddenly caring about the effects that you've had on me and your family, why don't you sick these fucking lawyers off of me? Call your lawyers right now and tell them that everything that you're still trying to get right now, you don't want it no more. $20,000 a month for a child? Our prenup says no alimony. Our prenup said everything that the prenup said. You're trying to crack the prenup, and it's been 3 years of it. I should have never hired a fucking attorney. I had a prenup. Everything that I was supposed to give you in the prenup, I've gave it to you. You want more. And it's been 3 years. I've moved on. I'm with Zelly. You moved on. I don't even want to tell niggas the first nigga you started dating when we broke up, because you're going to go viral from that. If I were to tell niggas who you started dating as soon as we broke up, you would go viral from that. All you want is attention. You want Facebook followers. You want Instagram followers. You're trying to be a life coach, and you trying to get niggas to drink the Kool-Aid. You fucking with a real one right here. Everybody can see through your bullshit. I may be alpha. I may be loud. I may appear to be a narcissist, as some niggas would say in the comments. Girl, you was good to leave that nigga. He's a narcissist. No, she's a fucking narcissist. Not only is she a narcissist, but she's a sociopath as well. And what is a sociopath? Someone who will maliciously and vindictively do some shit, fuck over you, hurt you, be made aware of the fact that they inflicted trauma and pain on you, and not even call you and text you to say they sorry. Did you think about the effects that it was going to have on me or our innocent child when you left me the way you did? Did you think about anything? No, it's all about Samantha. So now, go ahead and chase whatever career you're trying to chase. Go ahead and go viral. Go ahead and keep doing your goofy ass podcast and Miracle Mondays and whatever the fuck else you're trying to build. Over here, I don't want no one to confuse me releasing songs the way Adele released songs about her ex-husband, the way Jasmine Sullivan and Mary J. Blige release songs about their exes when they get cheated on, lied, get fucked over, when they go through painful relationships that come to an end. I don't want no one to confuse me releasing songs, singing about how I feel about Samantha with confusing me wanting this woman back. If I wanted her back, I would have got her back. I don't want Sam. She may be saying that she was thinking about, no. If you had people in your ear when you left me, those same people are in your ear 3 years later because the fucking lawyers are still on my back every day. Go sell this shit to somebody else. Look at every interview I've done, from Sway in the Morning to The Breakfast Club to everything that I've been posting and everything that I've been saying. And if you don't like me, nigga, I don't like you. I don't need none of you women in my comments saying they like me. I don't care to be liked. I got my heart broke. I was married. I was with this woman for 5 years. I never cheated. I got more access to pussy than most niggas I know. I was a good man, a good husband, and very, very focused on my family and my children. And the $2,500 or $2,600 that I was giving Samantha since she decided to leave me, I was giving her that for 2 years straight without a court order. Find another who decided to leave your husband without a court order. Find somebody else that's going to cut a check for $2,600 without the judge making a judgment for you to do so. I'll always take care of my kids. She's trying to turn a prenup into alimony, which she ain't getting.
Well, I hope that doesn't get taken down or something there. But as you all can see in the last couple hours here, Tyrese has had his own comments here about his ex-wife, Samantha. Tyrese has 18 million followers on Instagram. Samantha has not that many. Woman of God, she claims to be. Fitness and beauty influencer. Who's influenced by you? Game changer. Then she quotes scriptures. You ever notice that's a narcissistic thing to do, by the way? Narcissists, they always claim to be so close to God. I mean, that they speak for God. You don't have to talk to God. You got me, Samantha. I'm here to talk for God. And of course, hypocrisy goes hand in hand. Contradiction goes hand in hand. Don't watch what I do. Just listen to what I say as I wander on into my next super contradictory behavior here. There's a reason why I'm doing this tonight. Let's be clear on a couple of things. Now that I've played that part of it for you here, let's go ahead and go back here and replay her comments so Jason Black can go ahead and put this in its proper context for you tonight. The power dynamics of the ego making you self-destruct, which is exactly what has happened to Samantha Lee, formerly Samantha Lee Gibson. That's exactly what has happened to her.
Yeah, no, I The truth about the matter is that if I had different people in my ear at that time, I would not have made that decision. No.
Wow.
All right, Tyrese has just explained to all of us who the different people were. He said it wasn't different people. It was just your mama. It's just your mother who was in your ear. Let me explain something, y'all. If you want to know the reason why I'm not married and why I don't have any children, it is because the world is flooded right now with feminist narcissists like this. This is what you're going to find. The folks who are not like that are the minority. Samantha Lee represents females today. Across the board, across the spectrum, Samantha Lee represents females today. Some are more articulate. Some are less articulate. Some are more degreed. Others are less degreed. Some come with their bastard kids. Others come childless. Some come young. Others come older. They mostly come like this. And if she doesn't come in the door bearing her fangs, she's eventually going to get around to bearing her fangs. And the more that a man has to lose, the more sneaky, scheming, underhanded, and skullduggerous they're going to be, which is why in my almost half a century of walking this earth, I have compiled the rules that I give to men today that gives you your best chance of diffusing this kind of thing. This is female culture today. Bottom line, end of the story. This is it right here. Narcissistic, sociopathic, complete emotional and mental imbalance. This is what we're dealing with. And a society that encourages it, promotes it, legally abides it, aids and abets it. You fellas out here who are married or got children, man, I just feel for you niggas because you're just swinging out here on your own. That's the reason why so many males today don't really want to get their money up or get their act together, because you're putting yourself at risk. You put yourself at liability. This is supposed to be the damn incentive package. So for you fellas out there who got kids and got wives, got ex-wives for God's sake, all I can do is feel sorry for you. All I can do is feel sorry for you. Although there are usually going to be red flags and warning signs. Yeah, but take a look at the ones who don't have red flags and warning signs. Are very few and far between. Narcissism, egomania, degenerate lying, emotional and mental imbalance. This is female culture today, and proudly so. Jada Pinkett, I posted this on Facebook earlier today. Jada Pinkett, Samantha Lee, we can go down the list. Tia Mowry, they self-destruct their lives. Megan Good, they self-destruct their lives, and then they go find the first microphone they can later to go brag about what they did. Samantha Lee is not sorry for what she did. She's sorry for the prenup. That's what she's sorry about. Tyrese would not marry her without a prenup. She showed you within a year of the baby being born. The baby is a year old. She's like, okay, the law has got my back and it's going to be me and my mama. I say things that otherwise might sound crazy to folks, but based on the data, based on the facts, based on the information, these are warning signs for men. Yeah, we all know the big red flag warning signs. If she got bastard kids, if she's got a slutty sexual history, yeah, you know that one. But do you recognize these others? I didn't even bring a list tonight. My damn software has been messing up on me. I didn't even bring the whole list. I didn't bring a list of the others here, but I want you to be aware of exactly what you're looking at here. Narcissism. This woman literally taking pictures of herself on a throne, and People magazine encouraging it. Literally taking pictures of herself on a throne. And the red flag should be there. Fellas, first of all, when a chick look good or thinks she looks good, that's a red flag. Men need to be very, very aware of that. It can be hard to want to let that one go because you've been sitting there telling yourself your whole life, women have a Prince Charming fantasy and men have a Princess Charming fantasy. Man, when I grow up, I'm going to give me a badass broad. She's going to be pretty. She's going to have big breasticles. She's going to have a nice firm rump on her, and all my personal and sexual needs and other dudes are going to envy her, and that's going to be the sweet spot, and then I can just ride out. And man, look here, don't you know they can see you coming from a million miles away? You've got that fantasy running in your head and they're ready for you. So that's your first red flag, is if a chick looks good, or more importantly, if she tells you that she looks good. A female who tells you, I know I'm pretty. That's the definition of narcissism. If you think that you are pretty, that's supposed to be something that other people say. You shouldn't have to campaign for yourself. If you're trying to convince other people, if you have to say it to other people, that's because you're trying to convince them, which means you're trying to smuggle in something else with that statement. So when you think you look pretty, what are you trying to say? Every female thinks she looks pretty. The problem comes when you try to translate that and exchange that for something else. So if a female is telling you, I'm here to speak for all the pretty women, I'm here to speak for all the attractive women, what she's trying to do is convince somebody else. When have you all ever heard Bill Gates say, I'm the richest man in the world? When have you ever heard Jeff Bezos say, I'm the richest man in the world? Elon Musk say, I'm the richest man in the world? When did you ever hear Albert Einstein say, I'm the smartest man in the world? When have you ever heard those statements from people who really got it? If a person really got it, they're really trying to understate it because they don't want to bring attention to themselves. If someone's trying to bring attention to themselves, they're trying to gather support. If you actually got something, you don't have to gather support. It gathers support on its own. Watch out for a female who is trying to campaign for herself and tell you that she's trading on her looks. She's trying to recruit a buyer. She's trying to convince the rest of you that there's a large market. But the truth is, she's trying to find a buyer. Most females today are in financial dire straits, and they are looking for a supporter and a sponsor and a buyer. Fellas, if she's telling you that she looks good, she's trying to recruit somebody. It might be you, it might be someone else. She's trying to recruit someone. There's a red flag that fellas dismiss. A female who says she looks good, y'all supposed to stop her in her tracks and say, you know, if you have to campaign for it, that's when the person has to campaign for something that should be self-evident, that's because it's not real. Hate to hurt your feelings, but that's not real. Got to remind fellas of other things. If a female comes through the door, you're ready. All of you heard all these old timers and red pillars and the rest of these people being knockoffs of my program, telling you about the bastard kids, but they didn't tell you about the other things. When she comes through the door with pets and plants. She comes through the door with a green thumb. What they're saying is that's another form of narcissism. Pets don't evaluate you unless you got a really smart one who bites her. Plants don't evaluate you. Children don't evaluate you. A man evaluates you. A man gives you feedback. A man is not a part of your mother's narcissistic social circle. So when a female approaches you fellas and she's got pets, plants, tats, brats, and ats, tats, brats, and attitude, those are all the red flags you should be looking for. But if all you're interested in is, well, she cute, can I get her into bed? Now you got blinders on and she's counting on you having those blinders. Fellas, you need to see the telltale signs of a self-destructive female who is looking for her ego to be fed. Fellas, it is not a good thing for a chick to walk up to you with a dog. Jason, are you talking about no dogs at all? That's what I said. What? If a female is walking up to you with pets, dogs, cats, parakeets, what she's showing you is I do not interact with actual adults well, and I want an interaction that I can control, that doesn't judge me and doesn't call me out on my various obvious overbearing faults. My dog won't do that. It needs me to feed it. My pets, plants can't do that. And my children won't be able to do it for a while. You all need to recognize the signs of female imbalance. They don't have pets around because they love pets so much. They have pets around because they understand that they have utterly failed at a positive relationship with an actual human being. Men need to stop ignoring that. Pets are a gigantic warning flag, especially the younger the female is. It's one thing if it's your old grandmama. We're talking about you got chicks 18, 19 years old with pets, and then y'all see videos of them with the pets up in their faces. Especially as black females. When you got a black female with a pet up in their face, they either come from a mixed family or she's really imbalanced. She's got dogs up breathing up in her face, and in many cases licking on their faces, kissing on their dogs, kissing on their cats. Can't you see? You recognize that with the son husband, but do you recognize that with the dog daddy? Oh, that's exactly what I said.
And deal with it, nigga.
Y'all want to talk about the son husbands? Jason Black gave you a new phrase tonight. What about the doggy daddy? That's right. The dog is in their house, in the kitchen, in her face, in her bed, in her car. Don't you see this is a crazy ass whacked out broad? But niggas will be so desperate to get some sex that you just overlook obvious warning flags. Fellas, that's what I'm trying to warn you about, because when you start seeing those kind of things, a female who's narcissistic talking about her own looks, somebody else isn't talking about it. She's talking about her own. It doesn't matter even if you agree with her. You're supposed to put a stop on that. Wait a minute, hold on a second. What kind of non-narcissist goes around congratulating herself on her own looks? Don't you feel like you're a little bit vain and narcissistic? This is why men have to have options. This is why men have to be used to talking to different people. This is why a man has to have accomplishments of his own. The chat room, selfies, selfies, selfies. You damn right. She's got a whole thing full of selfies. You go through her cell phone. She's sitting there constantly looking at herself, her phone, constantly just taking random pictures of herself. Recognize when you live in a society that has armed their minds with a narcissistic culture. And most women today have been cultivated and enculturated to narcissism. They put a cell phone in their hands. With men, when men have a cell phone, we're pointing it at the world. When women have a cell phone, they point the camera at themselves. Recognize the warning signs. A female who competes for attention, not a female who competes for wisdom and education and to be someone who is worthwhile. A female who's competing for attention. A female who's competing for random male. That's how you get high body counts. When you see a chick with a high body count, that's because she doesn't really care about quality of men. She wants attention from as many as she can get. When the pets get too old or too boring, when she wants to break from the pets and the plants and the bastard kids, let's go get some attention. And here Samantha Lee is back at it again. Here she is back at it again. Sound familiar? Nobody knew who she was before she married Tyrese. Nobody knew who she was. Guess what? Now she's doubling back again. Now she wants to she's taking the Jada Pinkett route. Let me go have some interviews here where I stood up here and tried to eat off his name. You were married to him and she was waiting for somebody else of equal caliber to come along, and just like Ha Ha La La Anthony and Megan No Good and all the rest of them, she's finding out, yeah, that ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen. That's what she's lamenting now. She's lamenting that people don't actually want to talk to her about her. If she gonna eat, she gonna have to eat off Tyrese's name. Fellas, we are gonna have to speak in one unified voice as a masculine culture that these female narcissistic behaviors, clues, signs, and coping mechanisms, pets, plants, tats, all that stuff right there, the fake hair weaves, we gotta start saying, hey, enough of that. Here's the problem. Most males today are such grubby, pathetic, impoverished, scrounging scavengers that they can't afford to say no. There's the real problem. The reason that women are so overboard today as a group and that narcissism can be an all-time high is because most males ignore it, because most males can't afford to tell her no. They can't afford to give her the hand, man, stiff arm. They can't afford to do it, and the women know it. It'd be different if the women were ignorant about it, but the women know. Hey, like, Jason, you can shut your ass up. Most of these niggas can't afford to tell us no. They can't afford to say no. They're in a constant drought. They don't have any options. They grew up being raised by some bastard baby-making single mama. He's running around here with his little mama's boy mushroom haircut on his head. He can't afford to say no. You go to your college campuses, you don't have young men who know how to interact with a woman and are leading anything. Like, Jason, you're leading. These fellas out here, they ain't leading. They can't afford to tell us no. They can't afford to say no. And we are willing to get run through until we cobble enough of them together to pay a car note. But they can't afford to tell us no. Yeah, so they're just going to sit still until we mess them the hell over. So you go looking for something light-skinned, you go looking for something square-jawed, you go looking for something with drawn-on eyebrows, you go looking for something with spray paint on makeup, you go looking for something that you think, well, this will be okay for a little while, and they're just laying in wait for you. So Samantha Lee is carrying all the warning flags right now, all the warning signs, all the red flags. If anybody touches her, he's going to get what he deserves at this point, because Tyrese could at least claim ignorance. Nobody talking to her today can claim ignorance of any kind. You see what she did to the last guy, with no remorse, with no regrets, with no apology, with no mercy. She grabbed the baby like Adolf Hitler and walked out the front door, and I don't give a damn what's going on. It's all about me and what I want. Let me give you all another warning flag right here. And I've spoken about this before. We're talking about the narcissism and the ego. People, a chick who sits up here and talks about how great her daddy is. I've covered this before. Let me cover this one more time. A woman who's sitting up here, if she's got a bad relationship, not with her father, but with her mother, and a bad relationship does not mean that they don't talk. Let me say that again. A bad relationship doesn't mean that they don't talk. That's not what I mean by a bad relationship. A bad relationship is where the mother and the daughter together form this volatile mixture that is adverse to you as the man. That is a bad relationship with the mother. That's a woman who has a bad relationship with her mom. any relationship where her and her mother coming together, it becomes a negative mix for you. Her and her mom coming together should be a positive mix for you. It doesn't matter whether her and the mother are talking or whether or not they haven't spoken in years. The two of them together, this is forming a negative thing. If she's not talking to her mom, she should be completely positive. If the fact that she doesn't speak to her mom is only exacerbating the situation, as a man, you need to recognize that. That's number one, her relationship with her mother. Number two is the relationship with her dad. Beware of a female who speaks positively about her father. Be very, very aware of that. That ain't a good thing. That's not always a good thing. As a matter of fact, I would tell you today, it is not, unless you have evaluated the father and you consider him to be a stand-up dude. Maybe you do. But what if her father is a beta hoe? Now what? What if her father is a limp simp? Now what? What now? What if that's the kind of dude he is? What if he's not the kind of dude that you want to pattern yourself after? Not that you're looking for one. What if her dad is not a stand-up dude? What if her dad is weak? What if her dad is beta? Yeah, you're a nice, polite dude, but you're a damn pushover, nigga. Well, I don't want to be like you. What if that's the kind of father that she's had? And she's extolling to you the virtues of him and this, that, and the other. Now what do you do? Well, if her daddy was a damn pushover and a punk, guess what she expects from you? Guess what she expects from you? That's why a lot of you fellas have heard chicks up here and tell you, my daddy did this, that, and the other. Heifer, you need to get over there and marry his ass. See if he'll go ahead and take you on as a third wife, I suppose, since that's apparently what he raised you to be. Recognize those types of warning signs. Many of you were taught and conditioned to think those were good things. No, they're not. No, they're not. Another warning sign that fellas need to look out for is, fellas, y'all need to understand that if you are a fella who's been in a sexual drought, the females see your ass coming from a mile away. They got plans for you. Don't think that your weakness has been concealed. She can see it. In Samantha Lee's case, the only thing that she's upset about is the prenuptial agreement is an obstacle in her way, so she's been trying to get attorneys to see if they can break that agreement. Let's see if we can get our attorneys to just keep going at Tyrese until we can bust that agreement. 3 years later, and she's still slugging away at it. Now that the judge is siding with Tyrese, she hasn't stopped yet, but now she's sitting up here like, okay, let me go see if I can get back with him. Now Tyrese is exposed that, yes, she wanted to get back with me after I got with my new chick, Zelly. And poor little old Zelly. Imagine what Tyrese's mental and emotional state is like now after going through what he did with Samantha. How's he going to deal with this new woman? Can she blame Tyrese for being shell-shocked and being gun-shy on everything based on what happened with his last marriage? So the only thing that this woman is upset about, the only thing she's sorry about, is that Tyrese has a prenup that she ain't been able to bust up yet. But if she could actually get that to work, she would.
I wouldn't. And that's the truth. I try my very best at this point in my life to be what I didn't have in that moment.
You had a husband at that moment. What really got exposed is that you didn't give a damn about having a husband. Fellas, the reason why you cannot overlook narcissism is because by definition, being a narcissist, there's no one that a narcissist loves more than themselves. And in female narcissism culture, why do you think LGBT is taking off?
Because I think that women were like, I'm an extremely emotional person. People that know me know that about me.
Now she just speeds by that like that's just nothing. Well, I'm an emotional person. Whoa. An emotional person. Folks, we got to stop this garbage where we condone that statement as if that just makes it okay. Well, she's acknowledging she's an emotional person. That's like a man saying that, I'm violent and like to shoot people. Sometimes I get real upset. That's not a minor statement to make. I'm an emotional person. That's not something that condones it and explains it away and rationalizes it away. You tried to destroy your ex-husband and your own child on your narcissistic ego trip. And now you're coming back, I'm an emotional person, like that makes it all okay. Like that makes it all right. That you just say that, no, well, I can be an emotional person. Well, that doesn't make it okay. Thanks for admitting what a pile of crap you are, but that doesn't make it okay. Just because you're articulating what a bad person you are, that doesn't make you less of one. That's the issue.
I'm the kind of person that I feel so strongly, and I can ruminate. I can get so lost in my thoughts. I know a lot of women are like that. Like we're a lot, not all of us, right? But some of us are. Just like a lot of men can be like that. But I know women's. Now,
you saw how she tried to sit up here and mix men into that. This ain't got a damn thing to do with men. Men don't file 80% of the divorces. No, men do not. Women file 80% of divorces and end 90% of relationships. This is not a male problem. This is a female problem, particularly in Western culture, but this is not a male problem. So you see already she's deflecting. Don't you see how great all of her therapy went? Her therapy went great, didn't it?
Person that I feel so strongly, and I can ruminate. I can get so lost in my thoughts. I know a lot of women are like that. Like we're a lot, not all of us, right? But some of us are. Just like a lot of men can be like that. But I know women specifically, there will be moments where they'll be like, I'm ready to be done. I'm ready to be done. I'm ready to be done. I can't stand this. He don't do this. He don't do that. Blah, 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 blah. And we're just focusing on these things. And because you don't.
I'm ready to be done. I'm ready to be done. Me, my, I. I'm ready to be done because I don't feel like I've got control. What has she demonstrated in the last few years? Everything for her has been this narcissistic ego trip of control. Well, he's not doing what I want him to do. And by her own admission, he wasn't doing anything that the husband shouldn't be doing. I'm bored. One of the biggest reasons for divorce today is a female gets up one morning and says, I'm bored. I'm not happy. She was the one who pushed you and badgered you for marriage, and then once you give it to her, a few years later, I'm bored. I'm not happy. I was unhappy not being married. Now I'm unhappy being married. I was unhappy not being a mother. Now I'm unhappy being a mother. I was not bored before. Now I'm bored. Fellas, if you do not recognize an egomaniacal person set to self-destruct, just understand you will be handcuffed to them when they inevitably self-destruct, because that's what they must do. And nobody wants to self-destruct solo. When people get ready to go out, they want to take other people with them. They want to take other people with them. This is why it is critical that men must recognize these signs. Do not ignore them. Do not dismiss them. When you're dealing with a mentally and emotionally imbalanced individual like this, do not dismiss that. Because you got to understand, a person who knows they're screwed off, they need camouflage. That's the reason why narcissistic females, and unfortunately that's the majority of society today, sorry ladies, just gotta read the mail for you. narcissists have to wear camouflage. They got to wear a lot of it. So that's why they engage in misdirection. Oh, don't you think I'm cute? Don't you think I'm pretty? Yeah, keep your eye on this over here. So hopefully you pay no attention to the obvious, hideous thing I am right beneath the surface. Keep your eyes on this fake ass weave and this Max Factor makeup and these drawn on eyebrows and this glossy lipstick. Keep your eyes on that, because I know hopefully you are dealing with some emotional deficiencies yourself as a man, and you're so desperate to have a female who shines that you'll overlook my obvious fatal flaws. So that's why I want to talk about my looks, because hopefully it impresses you. Don't compare me on a worldwide scale, by the way. Hopefully it impresses you. Hopefully. And if you're easily impressed, that's exactly what will happen to you if you're easily impressed.
Women, I'm an extremely emotional person. People that know me know that about me. I'm the kind of person that okay, I feel so strong, and I can ruminate. I can get so lost in my thoughts. I know a lot of women are like that. We're a lot, not all of us, right? But some of us are. Just like a lot of men can be like that. But I know women there will be moments where they'll be like, I'm ready to be done. I'm ready to be done. I can't stand this. He don't do this. He don't do that. Blah, 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 blah. And we're just focusing on these things. And because you don't have a certain person in your life to check you and say, sis, what about this? What about this? What about these strengths? What about
your mama? What about your mother? What about her? Because you don't have a certain person in your life. Why isn't she taking her mama to task? Why aren't you coming out and saying, by the way, I had a marriage to a man that my mother could never have dreamt of being with. And rather than reinforce that, which is what we used to do in the old days, they would have just told her to go back home and fix it up with her husband. They sitting up here, ooh, don't you want to go ahead and break that up? Don't you understand, folks? If you are one of your mother's pets, oh boy, I'm about to break up a lot of damn families here tonight.
Alrighty then.
A lot of you were raised to be your sick, imbalanced, single mama's pets. And your mama is not intent on ever letting you go, because she got to go riding off into the sunset solo. So that's why most of you today as females, you don't have a good balanced relationship with your mom, because she raised you to be her pet, that you were supposed to stick around. They raised the sons to be their little beta husbands, and they raised the daughters to be their little diligent pets. But you always supposed to be around. And so she's going to plant seeds of sabotage in your mind, and she's always on the periphery. Right when it's time for her to send you off and make sure you don't come back, at the last second there, now she goes ahead and throws the sabotage in the mix, throws the monkey wrench in the machine. Next thing you know, she's telling you to undo everything you just did. Now she's telling you to undo that. You got a husband, you got a child, you got a house of an exclusive neighborhood, you got a name for yourself, and your mama didn't tell you, here's how you fix it. Your mother told you, yeah, let's go ahead and break it up. Let's go ahead and end that. Well, so you'll be back over here with her? And because you are so conditioned and institutionalized that your narcissistic mother's now made you a part of her narcissistic social circle, and you had a chance to break out and have a different life, and instead you've now retreated back to your mama. Now you're the daughter husband. And now here Samantha Lee is. Here she is, sitting here on a internet program trying to explain away why in the world we would do something so incredibly dumb, because this is not a good damn look. This is not a good damn look. That's not a good look for you. There's a reason for that. This woman's 33 years old now. 33 years old. She's staring 40 down the barrel now. All of a sudden, it's starting to get clear to her now that she's had some distance and the man hasn't tried to hurt himself to get back with her, because what she was doing was supposed to break him. Did you notice these immature statements? I don't like this. I don't like that. What the hell kind of immature ass middle school talk is this?
Are just like a lot of men can be like that, but I know women specifically, there will be moments where they'll be like, I'm ready to be done. I'm ready to be done. I'm ready to be done. I can't stand this. He don't do this. He don't.
Now, do you see how her vocal inflection changed? She talking real hood ratish all of a sudden. She's pulled out that hood rat dialect all of a sudden. Completely immature. Instead of being a woman in the home, she's like, good, marriage will allow me to be the child I used to be, as opposed to the woman you're supposed to be. Fellas, watch out for those red flags. These are not temporary, tertiary things that will come and leave. When you see these mannerisms, you need to be wise enough to say, you ain't really wife material. Certainly not mother material. You can keep laying up with her, but if you do something of a permanent nature, just understand she's looking to hang around until you screw up, mess up, and do something of a permanent nature, so that now she's got the one thing she really wants, control, so she can start the final step of narcissism, which is abusing you. A narcissist is looking for someone to abuse, someone to hurt, someone to condescend, someone they can take things from. And if you don't give them a baby or a marriage, they'll start calling the police. They'll start lying. They'll start scratching up your car. They'll start trying to steal your credit. They'll stretch over into criminal behavior and see how far they can take it.
Do that, blah, 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 blah. And we're just focusing on these things. And because you don't have a certain person in your life to check you and say, sis, what about this? What about this? What about these strengths? What about what he's not doing? Like those types of things. That can get you thinking about the positive aspects of this person that you may not be thinking about when you're upset. You're only thinking about what you're mad about. You're not thinking about all the other positive aspects of this person. And so in those moments, you need somebody to be the person for that person.
Yeah.
In those moments.
So
that's why I'm glad that Tyrese just went ahead and went off with it. I'm glad that he just went ahead and went off with it and just came up with the real and just said what he had to say. I'm glad he didn't pull any punches. I'm glad he just came straight out the gap and said it. You see what the post says here? My sister's funeral is tomorrow, and once again, it's about Sam. I just responded to Sam, once again, gaslighting and playing victim. As men, this is something you've got to watch out for. You've got to be cognizant of that. A person who's looking to self-destruct isn't going to come to you looking all raggedy. A person who's looking to self-destruct is going to try to fix themselves up. How else can they lure you in to get close enough so they can sink their clutches into you? Now, Tyrese had said some things on here.
And I was literally in an airplane on my way home to fight for my marriage and my family. You're heartless. None of your friends recognize you. This is all about money. If you had friends in your ear, you're lying, you're gaslighting, you're playing. The only person that was in your ear was your mama. Her name is Patricia Randolph. You didn't have people in your ear. the amount of people that was supposedly in your ear, you also had a whole lot of people like Aventer Gray, Taffy Dollar, Creflo Dollar's wife, who married us.
That's why Tyrese is bringing it up, because on her page, you can see she talking about the Bible and quoting the Bible and Bible verses and quoting God and this, that, and the other. And you got female pastors' wives talking to her. And she was like, yeah, God told me to tell you heifers kiss off.
Having their own marital issues at the time, you arranged a therapy session with Aventer Gray at our house. And when she walked out of her therapy session, she walked into the foyer where the bumblebee is, and there was 50 boxes with like 7 or 8 people there packing up all the shit to leave the house. And I was in an airplane on my way home to try and fight and save our marriage.
So what he's telling you is that he's exposing to you all something I've told you all for years here. Don't listen. In the modern age today, folks, some folks, they listen to me and they made careers online, and that's cool and everything. But, you know, if you don't have all the pieces, or if you try to just put a spin on this, it isn't going to work. Mine is completely intact and thorough. If you don't put it all together in one piece, it doesn't work. When Kevin Samuels, his go-to response to everything was get some therapy, get some therapy, get some therapy. Jason Black is the guy who never said that, except in a few extreme cases, and maybe that'll stall you. I don't refer you all to therapists, and I've told you all for years, because I don't trust them based on what I've seen. Most of these people are completely unqualified. They don't know what to do. Their answer to everything is you should leave. You should go. Because they don't have anything else to tell you. So they're going to sit there and let you spend money and keep talking to them. But ultimately, their goal is to keep you as a patient, not to actually fix the issue. Because if you are the problem, then the therapist needs to make it very clear to you at some point that you are the problem and we need to focus on you. No, it's not your mama. It's not your daddy. It's not your boyfriend. It's not your husband. No, you're the issue. No, you really are kind of screwed up and whacked off and thrown off. But a therapist isn't going to do that because you are a profit center. I've told y'all, most of these so-called therapists, they need to be on a couch, not talking to somebody on it. So they sit up here and just tell you whatever you wish to hear, or worse, you go doctor shopping. Either the therapist is going to tell you what you want to hear, or you go doctor shopping. So if the therapist doesn't tell you what you want to hear, or if the therapist actually has the guts to say that you are the problem, well, guess what? She's going to get up, walk out of there, leave, and if either never go back to therapy or go find another therapist who will tell her what she wants to hear. That's the reason that therapy cannot work. Therapy as practiced in general in America cannot work because the therapists are not doing simple things. There's a reason why a Dr. Phil or an Ileana Van Zant gets results and the folk y'all talk to can't. These chicks walk out just as crazy and loony as they walked in. They walk out just as narcissistic and conceited as they walked in. They walk out just as destructive and reckless as they walked in. Because nobody is actually willing to tell them exactly what the truth is, or if somebody does, they have the option of just getting up and walking. Well, let me go find somebody who's going to tell me what I do want to hear. How many of you have seen that? How many of you have seen somebody who got up and left a therapist because they did not tell them what they wanted to hear? They wanted to hear, you can handle it in this manner. That is in keeping and in sync with your narcissistic tendencies. And they got up and said, yeah, let me get me. And me and the therapist just don't get along anymore. I just don't get along with them anymore. Yeah, we're just not a good fit. I just don't like this anymore. Some of you all need to ask some questions about that and do a little bit of digging. And you'll start to hear, by the way, when you got a chick who just been to 4 or 5 therapists, okay, how did you have so many issues there? Then you'll start finding some answers if you can get them to open up to you. If you can get somebody to show you that paperwork, you get them to show you, yeah, by the way, we told her that she was the problem. We told her what her issues were, and she stopped coming to therapy after that. You're siding with my boyfriend. You're siding with my husband. You're siding with my mom. The therapist told her what she didn't want to hear. The therapist told her the truth. You know what? These other people are just responding to the fact you're pretty screwed up and narcissistic. You were raised as an only child. You're raised as a prima donna. You're raised as a diva. You're raised as a narcissistic, sociopathic individual. Yeah, you know what? You really are the issue. We need to focus on you. You're siding with the rest of them. My mom says that. My boyfriend said that. My dad says that. You're siding with them. I'm just letting you all know these are the phrases that I've seen used and heard used. You're siding with them. It's like, no, I'm doing math. These would be unpleasant things for you to hear about yourself. By the way, the problem is not them. The problem is, it is you. Take a look in your cell phone at all these selfie images of yourself. The problem is you. You've been laid on top of by 60 dudes. The problem is you. And you're used to people pandering to you and sucking up to you and not actually telling you because they didn't want to ruin their chances of sex with you. If you have a therapist who's not concerned about that, I can actually tell you what the truth is. Well, I need a new therapist. You're siding. I need someone else. I'm just so stressed. I'm so stressed coming here. This therapist is, just always attacking me. They're always attacking me. They're belittling me. They're condescending to me. I just can't handle this. Those are things to watch out for.
So if you had people in your ear at the time, they must be still in your ear because you're still trying to get $20,000 a month for a 5-year-old. You make $160,000 a year on your own. This is all a game. You're clout chasing. You're something that I don't even know. A simple woman, not into materialistic things, don't care about fame and mansions and popularity. You're everything that you told me and all of your friends and loved ones that you wasn't. If you wanted to be famous, boo-boo, that's all you had to say. You didn't have to play this game that you wasn't.
Yeah, but Tyrese, she does have to play the game because you see, when you're dealing with dirty, skullduggerous individuals, a self-destructive person, she doesn't want it if she can't take it from you. See, if you just give it to her, that's not good enough. She needs to know that she's damaged you. She wants to feel that she's hurt you. She wants to feel that she's got dominance over you. And you can't have dominance over someone who gave it to you. You can only have dominance over them if you were able to outmuscle them and take it from them. What do you do when let's take a look at those nails too, by the way. What do you do if that's what you're laying in bed next to? Fellas, you can't let a chick sit up here and put on camouflage and you turn your brain off. You cannot allow a chick to put on camouflage and you tell yourself that this is the kind of look I need to have from the chick next to me. She's laying in wait. So no, she cannot let you know that's what she really wants because to her, if I don't steal it and take it from you, it isn't worth it. I want to know that I took it from you. That's how dangerous the game is.
Now you out here playing on single mothers and their emotions, playing on women that are actually in abusive relationships and fucked up marriages that are toxic and dark and dysfunctional. That's not what that was.
Okay, in the chat room, somebody said, I never thought Tyrese would be the more reasonable one. First of all, when has Tyrese been unreasonable? Now let's put the bull crap to the side. Start to take a look at yourselves and just, if a female says something, you automatically just believe it. You gullible. You just go for it. You don't do any scrutiny whatsoever. Don't you know that that poisons a culture? When you tell somebody that we're going to take your side, whether you're right or wrong, don't you know that that only encourages them to do wrong? That tells them that they can now give in to their darkest, most evil and wicked impulses because there will be no consequences for doing so. What did you see from Tyrese that told you that he was not reasonable in the last 5 years? What did you see? That you had somebody in Hollywood who was ready to be straight up? Let me explain something to y'all. That's what they say to all the folks who are straight up. When Michael Jackson started saying the truth about racism, oh, wacko jacko, he crazy. Prince, oh, he's on drugs, he crazy. My man Isaiah Washington, he's crazy. Tyrese, ooh, he's nutty. You all need to understand that right there. As soon as you start saying something, it's like, okay, I'm not going to let folks filter me. Then next thing you know is, oh, well, you know, he's not reasonable, especially if you're black and chatting. Dave Chappelle, we can go down the list. When you're a black man and you start saying truthful things and you don't let folks censor you or filter you, all of a sudden you're unreasonable and irrational. Where's the lie? Okay, you might not like, you don't like, so I don't get to be straight up with no filter? Where's the unreasonable thing in what he said? Where's the lie in it? Where's the lie? So the only time that we're reasonable is that we're kissing somebody's ass or making them comfortable. Where's the lie is the question folks got to start saying. Wait a minute, it's controversial. So him telling the straight up truth is controversial? In the chat room, Kanye West. Now we know Kanye's has his issues and whatnot, and there may be some medications involved, but let me tell you one damn thing. The biggest piece of controversy that Kanye West had was when he posted his record contract on Twitter. To the members of my white audience here, I got to remind y'all, when Kanye West started posting up pages from his record contract that just had this mishmash of terms and this collision of the English language, it was a bunch of white folk who were upset with him. The same folks who patted Ed Snowden on the back and, oh yeah, Chelsea Manning, oh, you don't have all these secrets here. WikiLeaks, yep, we need to say the secrets. Kanye West posted his own contract, which had nothing to do with the dominant society, and they were condemning him. You shouldn't be posting. That's our private deal. That's our contract. Why is it you wouldn't be congratulating him for doing that? Oh, because that's how y'all been getting over on us all this time. And you're up because you in lockstep with the folks who wrote the contract. With the people who put people in slavery, not the slave trying to set himself free. There was nothing wrong with what that man did. Post that damn contract so everybody can see whether or not this looks reasonable to you. So let me get this straight. Kanye West posted the pages from his contract, which was just this Byzantine, look it up. It was just this catacomb of weird terms and phrases, but he's unreasonable. Not the people who wrote that crazy, lunatic, schizophrenic contract. They're not unreasonable. Kanye is unreasonable for saying something. Ooh, he wilding out. Look at him. He's not beating nobody. He ain't cheating nobody. He's not lighting anything on fire. What is he doing? He's posting pages from his record contract. See? Crazy. What, do you work for the record company or something? Somebody tell me where Tyrese was ever unreasonable. Where did you pick up this narrative that he was ever unreasonable? That's the real question you need to ask yourself is, wait a minute, because they get real worried when you got a black man who starts going off script. You're okay if you still chasing them dollars and you stay on script. You're a problem when you start going off script. They're like, oh, wait a minute now. Don't know if we can trust you anymore. What if he decides to go off script on us? What if he decides to go off script on something we want? So I would argue, when has Tyrese ever been unreasonable? When did that narrative get picked up? Because the man got emotional because this degenerate harpy sits up here and waits until this man leaves to grab his child and cover up the cameras at his home and grab their stuff and leave while this man is on an airplane to do something so dirty and underhanded as that? So she's not the unreasonable one. Tyrese is the unreasonable one for having that reaction. Okay, now I got it.
You think I would have a song entitled I Don't Think You Ever Loved Me if I didn't really feel that way?
Now listen to this.
You think I would have a song out called Love Transaction if I didn't realize that it was never love, it was just a transaction?
Let me explain something to you all here right now. Let me go ahead and have a moment here to get real with y'all for a minute here. And let me have a moment to get you all properly trained.
Join me and I will complete your training.
It's time to update your files. Folks, I know a lot of y'all here, you've been red-pilled. I know a lot of y'all were Kevin Samuels fans. Be that what you will, but you were told false and phony things. Marriage is not a business. Let me say that again. If you ever meet a female, a male, a YouTuber, somebody who tells you marriage is a business, but particularly a woman who tells you that marriage is a business, you talking to a whore. You're not talking to a woman. Marriage is not a business. The purpose of marriage is not business. And many of you have been trying to wrap your heads around what it is. Marriage is about power. Well, it can be, sure. But I told you all over a decade ago what marriage is for. Marriage is about the continuity of bloodlines. You can have a marriage between two broke people. Folks, if marriage is about business, how is it that most people who are married are broke? Some of you have been sitting on the internet and anything that anybody sits up here and farts out at you, you go repeating it here. Why don't you exercise some damn critical thinking skills? If marriage is about business and if marriage is a business, then how is it that two broke people can get married? If marriage is a business is supposed to require capital. If marriage is a business, then why is it that it doesn't require capital? Don't open your damn forked tongue to say it does. It doesn't require capital. It doesn't require it. But what it does require is the merging of bloodlines. Now that it does require. It requires that. You need that. For those of you who do not understand how it works, let me go ahead and remind you one more time here about how it works. How marriage actually works. What's supposed to happen that is, as a man, you are saying that I'm going to take this female from her father. He has been her protector and provider all this time. Now that she's reached age of majority and she can reproduce, assuming she is suitable socially to do so, I've evaluated your daughter and I have found her to be suitable for reproduction of my bloodline. So that everything I built her is, for those who watch Game of Thrones or familiar with English law or whatever, my lands and titles the things I've built, what I've earned. And that doesn't just mean money. I'm talking about your name. I'm talking about the accomplishments of your name. What about that? What about the name that you've created? That transcends money. Because a man passes his name down. He passes the family honor down. But there may be a situation where another female, for whatever reason, has been able to also bear this man's children. Well, what is the purpose of marriage? Marriage establishes the legitimate heirs of all those things, of the lands and the titles and the deeds and the family name and the family honor and the crest and the continuity of that. Marriage establishes that continuity, that it says these are the legitimate heirs of this bloodline. And that little bastard over there, well, yeah, I mean, I am the daddy, but he's not my legitimate heir. His mama was just some chick I slipped up with. But don't let that intrude on the fact that I am not committed to her. I may be required to take care of the child financially, but I am not bound to her. I'm not depending on her to carry on my family's legacy. That ain't business, people. To some of the slow bus kids who are trying to limp their way through the understanding of what marriage is throughout history. That everything I just told you, that doesn't require a dime. But it does have infinite value. Let me explain this a little bit further. For those of you who are grandchildren, not children, but grandchildren, and I mean if you had a good relationship with your grandparents, you are proud and esteemed to carry on their name. They didn't have to give you a dime. You are proud to carry your grandfather's name. You are proud to carry your grandmother's legacy. No money is required there. You are proud that their blood runs through your veins. That's all you ask for. You're proud that you were fortunate enough to be born of their legacy. That's not a business, but that is something that you are the heir of. And that's not a business. So when some woman sits up here and tries to tell you that opening her legs is a transaction and marriage is a business, and then you fall for that garbage, you are going to get every bit of suffering and misery that you deserve, because you will be unable to avoid it because you have been bamboozled either by yourself or by her or your parents. Marriage is not a business. Marriage is an agreement. It is not a business. Marriage is an agreement that she understands that that she approves of you to reproduce your genes, and that you are her best option for protection and provision. And you have decided that she is a proper and worthy person to carry on your family's bloodline and to carry your legacy. Big difference. Big difference. No money required. No cash exchanged. Two broke people need that just as much as two eminently wealthy people. So I hope we've updated your files for you. Some folks have been confused. Hopefully we've updated your files. When you hear someone speaking about that as a transaction, that it's a business, just understand at some point that person is hoping to get something out of you against your will. They're looking to take something from you against your will. Jada Pinkett talks about marriage like that. When they talk about, a woman's not supposed to talk about marriage in objective terms. Fellas, don't you understand? She's bearing her fangs when she starts to talk about something that affects you as seriously as marriage does. She's bearing her fangs when she talks about marriage in an objective, clinical way. Let me make this a little bit better for you here. Fellas, the ultimate warning sign to you that you're in trouble with a female is when she talks about her relationship with you in non-passionate terms. You see, you've felt many things when you went to Walmart. You've never felt passion. Boy, I sure do love going to Walmart. You know, it's never like that. Maybe as a joke you might say that, but you've never been passionate about being a Walmart customer. You've never been passionate about the place that changes the tires on your car. You've never been passionate about that. When a woman is in a relationship with you and she's discussing your relationship in non-passionate terms, in passionless terminology, you're in trouble. She's reduced you to a resource. And the only thing a resource is good for is exploiting and cashing out. Which is exactly what she intends to do, because that's all she can do, because that's what the whole damn game was about here from the beginning. A woman is not supposed to be around you and isn't passionate. Her connection to you is supposed to be passionate. She's supposed to be looking at you. And yes, I'm going to remind you all, there is supposed to be a biological response. When a female is interested in you, there's supposed to be a biological response from her. You call that attraction. If you're a fella and she has not had that biological response, she's here to get what she can get out of you. Inversely, if she has that biological response to every man who comes by, you're all equally worthless. It isn't that one of you has stood out. All of you are equally worthless. She's looking to exploit as many of you as she can. That's not a transaction. That's a man-eater. No need to sit up here and philosophize it and elevate it to some level it doesn't belong. You've been warned. That's not a good thing. They're sitting up here showing you what their warning signs are. That's not a good thing. But now you see where Samantha Lee, Jason got bars, but now you can see that she's trying to figure out how to get relevance, because what most likely has happened is her attorneys have informed her that they're not going to be able to close the deal, that Tyrese is done, that prenup is going to be too hard to crack, and that we can drag this on, but Tyrese isn't really wearing down. He intends to keep fighting this. So we're not able to really wear him down. So we probably gonna need to wrap this up. Most likely what's happened is her attorneys have told her, we ain't gonna be able to crack him the way you want to. What we've gotten out of him is pretty much all we gonna be able to get. That's pretty much going to be it. And at this point, attorneys don't want to go to court anymore if there's not going to be a big payday. Now they're going to be putting pressure on her to go ahead and wrap this up. We've pretty much gone as far as we can go. The judge ain't really bending anymore. We can't really drag anything else out of him. The prenup is what it is, and you've gotten what you're going to get. You're not going to be able to convert this prenuptial agreement into alimony, which is what you really want. Why is that so damn doggedly important? Because that's supposed to be the coup de grace. That's supposed to be the payoff, is that I can marry you or leave you, and now I can forcibly separate you from your name and your resources. So I get all the benefits of being married to you while raping you socially. I get to take these things from you. Now she's reaching the end of that, and they're letting her know, it's like, yeah, that's not really working. So now she's looking for a second life because otherwise it ain't working. She's going into her 30s. She's got tattoos on her arms and her hands. It's not going so great here. We got to see if we can get this motor revved up on something else. So now she wants to parlay her former marriage into some tangible benefits for herself going forward. The problem is it's not going to work. The problem is she's not going to be able to Kimora Lee Simmons this. She's going to go out like Nicole Murphy, not Kimora Lee. And even Kimora Lee hasn't been able to do that. She's still trying to eat off Russell's name. Still trying to do that. What happened here is that now Samantha Lee recognizes that she has killed the golden goose. She really did believe that if she told Tyrese she wanted to get back together, that Tyrese would drop the woman he was with while this woman is sitting up here trying to divorce him, that he would drop the woman he was with and go back to her. So that tells you you're making emotional decisions, impulsive decisions, and people who know me know I'm emotional. Then why didn't they tell you to shut up and sit your ass down? If they know you're emotional, they know this will pass. Why didn't they tell you to shut up and sit your ass down? Why didn't they do that? Because those folks wanted to see you fail, and your dumb, goofy, high yellow ass fell for it. They sat there, they saw you had made it, they saw you got the bag, they saw you had a good look, and you are so addicted to drama and dysfunction, which is what Tyrese was alluding to from you two's childhood. Well, guess what? It sabotaged you ultimately in the end. Now you are nothing but a failed tale of misery. Now you and your mama are both sitting there with your lips poked out looking stupid. You're not going to be able to convert this into alimony. Tyrese is going to keep fighting about what gets given to the kid because he know you trying to backdoor some alimony. And you're going to try to rename your alimony child support. Because at the end of the day, you're just a chick making 160 G's a year. And thank you, Tyrese, for putting that number out there. Because a lot of fellas don't want to do that during these hearings and during these court cases. They don't want to put them numbers out there. I'm so glad Tyrese did that, though. Yeah, just go ahead and let it be known. It's like, hey, baby, look here. She make $160,000. Tyrese make a lot more than that. Yeah, she's like, wait a minute, let me get that. No, you're divorced. Remember, you want to leave. Well, I want to leave him, but I'm entitled to his resources. Don't y'all know these are rapists? I mean, this is how far gone and degenerate it is. And somebody got something negative to say about Tyrese? Do you realize how sick a society you are in today when they're telling you that she's doing this to him and he's supposed to be quiet? He's supposed to just sit there and be quiet. Do you realize how sick? When you go into the comments section, you got folks sitting up there talking crazy at him. I don't often agree with you, but in this instance I do. Don't often agree, really? This clown here, sir, it wasn't no need to respond. Jesus Christ, some men just don't know how to remain silent. So her talking about him wasn't the problem. There's some whacked out psycho here who's got mommy and or daddy issues telling you that he needs to be quiet. So she can talk all she wants to, but Tyrese needs to be quiet. Don't you recognize that there's folks out there who are like, look here, I hate my damn daddy. I hate him. I can't get him. But if some unknown anonymous heifer on the internet can go after a man, I'm right there with it. There's a bunch of dudes out there. I covered this before. There are individuals out there who may be males and they've been raised by their mamas to be 65 mama's boys. Now they hate masculinity. They despise it. Now they're like, here, hey, Samantha, can I hold him down while you assault him? Because I hate my dad too. You can see these sick individuals' mindsets got together. And now all she did was take a once in a lifetime opportunity and squander it. All she did was take a lifetime opportunity and squander it. Now she's going to go to the next level of mental and emotional imbalance. Pretending, phoniness, falsehood, tell you everything's great, everything's okay. Go find somebody, hoping some beta simp out there somewhere who doesn't really have anything to give or anything to lose, looking for a fan if she can do so. Because the problem for you, baby, is you too damn famous now. You can't do what Nicole Young did and be okay. You can't do that. You can't do what Megan Good did and be okay. You can't do that. You're too well known. You see, some scummy ass hood rat on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter can get away with that. You can't. You're too well known. You did this too publicly. You did this too blatantly. You are too well known. You're not going to be able to ride off into the sunset. So that's why she's scrambling now. That's what I'm telling you now. Now she's saying all these things all of a sudden. Somebody else let her know, yeah, this is as good as it's going to get. This is as good as it's going to get. We need to go ahead and start wrapping this up. I said something years ago, and now that I have the audience here on The Business, I want to remind you all of what I said years ago. To the fellas out there, this will seem like a strange concept to you, but it's really one that you'd be well served to take heed of. Do you realize that most females, ladies, I gotta read the mail right quick. Most females desire for their life to be a beautiful tragedy. Most of them desire for their lives to be a beautiful tragedy. They don't want a happy ending. Because a happy ending is boring. She wants more excitement, and if you will not deliver it, she will start burning things down to create it. If she got some fellas, most women, if they have a choice between getting some attention for something positive and getting tons of attention for a scandal and something negative, they will go for the scandal without hesitation. they'll go for that without hesitation. And a lot of you fellas have lived that. They don't want you. They want the benefits of it, if there are any to be gotten. And then after that, man, that's it. And they only care about it if a price comes. If there's a penalty for it and the price gets too severe, and then there you are. A lot of you fellas are caught up in some goofy, gooned out female's narcissistic fantasy. You should have been just a spectator from the sidelines. Now you are a participant in the middle of the Terror Dome. However, you might disagree. Therefore, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the program all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. You are, of course, welcome to join us. We're also going to go ahead and put the link to Zoom here at the top of the chat. Hopefully we'll have no issues with that. We will see. Big shout out here to everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, Venmo, to man G-Mac, Keith Lashley, Mark Two Squares, Sloan Freddy. Thank you very much for your support here. We appreciate that as well here. Thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution here. Now, what you said, however, Tyrese is not very masculine. I mean, I don't know where you picked it up. I would be interested to see what your definition of masculine is, and then I'd like to know what your definition of feminine is. He's insecure from the videos I've seen. Once again, where's the insecure video that you're referring to? I've never met a real alpha who is always calling himself an alpha. Before the video you just heard today, when did you hear Tyrese call himself an alpha? I'd like to get answers to all this. If you're going to say these kind of things, that's fine. But by the way, you're making a lot of assertions and a lot of claims. And by the way, proof, please. He wishes he was one. I don't know. If you're talking about him, he's not talking about you. I mean, that kind of establishes a hierarchy, doesn't it? Take the responsibility for choosing her. At what point did he not? Take the L and move on. She's the one who brought him up. Dude, I mean, folks, it's called facts and mathematics. She brought him up. So shouldn't you be contacting her and saying, hey, you look very insecure. She looks hella imbalanced. You look very insecure. Why? Hey, ma'am, he doesn't want you back. Why don't you take the L and move on? I'm just saying, wouldn't that be, factually accurate? Might be something to try out, just for fun and giggles. You might want to try that one out for a change. Just give it a shot. You might like it. All right, let me see if I can get over here on Zoom. Hopefully we don't have a bunch of issues with that happening. Although I kind of got a feeling we're going to here, so we will just do our best. All right, I think I got my man Prince on Zoom. What's on your mind, brother? We'll see if that works.
I have to put these headset on. I don't hear you. Stay muted.
Okay, well.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. So you're not muted, Prince. We hear you.
Okay. Brother, I want to ask you a couple of questions. Okay. So I want to ask you a couple of questions. One, I want to know, it's feeding back to me. Let me take this off. Okay. I don't know.
Brother Prince, you're killing us tonight.
Okay, I got you now, brother. I can hear you. Okay, so one, a lot of times these women are like time release capsule. Okay, so, but one of the main things that young men can do as a red flag is to check and see by asking about her father, not just asking about him, asking about her relationship with him, and also what type of relationship they had with the mother. You need to ask these things up front. Women are more willing to talk in the beginning most of the time than they will be once you're in the relationship for a while. You brought up a key point, brother. You talked about they don't want the things that you give them. They want the things that they can take from you. And this is exactly how they operate. If there's a prenup, the first thing they got in their mind is what's the first thing I'm going to be able to do to try to get to undermine this prenup. Whatever agreement you make with her, she's not planning on keeping her into the bargain.
Well,
it's only
here's the issue. You got to recognize, my parents taught me young, beware of a calculating female. That's what I was taught young. Watch out for a calculating female. I was always taught that the smarter a female thinks she is, the more slick she tends to think she is.
Yes.
So that leads to a situation where you're with somebody and she doesn't see herself as competing with you. She sees herself as competing against you. That she's here to prove that she can outdo you. What do you do when you a light-skinned chick and life in the world didn't give you what you thought you should have? What do you do? What do you do when you told yourself this was where you were going to be in life up here and the world never gave that to you? What do you do then? What do you do when you've had all of these elevated ideas about yourself and when it was time for that to all happen, the world never really gave that to you? What do you do? And now you're married to a guy who got all that. And he's telling himself that, okay, you and I are both emotionally aligned. There's no reason for us to be financially aligned. I got that taken care of. And you just play your position on the team. What do you do? What do you do when you're the chick? She doesn't want to be on the team. She wants to be the coach. She wants to be the team owner. And the only reason that she's with you is because she feels at some point her ship is going to come in. Not that you're the ship that came in, but at some point she's going to get an opportunity to leapfrog you and prove how great she is. What do you do under those circumstances when that's where you've ended up at? Now you're in a situation where she's getting up every day to see how can I compete against you? And when that finally doesn't work because you've gotten so far ahead of her, now the only step left is how do I sabotage you? Fine, if I can't beat you honorably, I'll beat you dishonorably. How do I just burn this damn thing down? Yeah, but you're standing in it too. Well, don't worry, the system will take care of me. And then she realizes it doesn't happen. Because she's more concerned with proving that she can validate herself and proving that I'm just as good as you. Jada Pinkett was never as good as Will.
Right.
Will understood Hollywood in a way that Jada with her spiritual kook psychobabble never did. Will Smith, as far as Hollywood, his feet are firmly planted on the ground and always have been. He let himself get wrapped up in the self-destructive psycho melodrama of a chick who wasn't grounded. The only thing she did was help him to get ungrounded. Now guess where he is? He's sitting where she at. She killed hers. She messed off hers. All she did was help him to mess up his. Well, guess what? Tyrese has kept it pushing. The chick he was with, laying in his bed the whole time with envy and spite and hostility towards him the whole time. And she's been trying to undo it ever since. When that didn't work, okay, let me see if I can double back. Now she's having second thoughts.
They always double back. Let me say that you know, and I know that women always want to come back and offer sex. My ex, she lost 30 pounds being a hard-headed. And Jason, what are some of the signs of a woman who's secretly competing against you? That some of them are very, very clever, subdued. They try to hold back until they're ready to strike against you. What are some of the signs that they're secretly competing against you?
All right. When a female is competing against you, she's trying to do it low key, although usually it's not low key. It's usually not hidden.
Right.
It's usually actually very overt. But here's some subtle things you can look for. Subtle thing number one, she is going to try to diminish your authority. Notice I did not say accomplishments. I said your authority. That's where we go to the thing of your money doesn't matter. Now, she's going to tell you that she chose you because you're financially successful, but as soon as your authority becomes something that you stand on, all of a sudden your money don't matter. You think money is everything? So when she was pursuing you, your money was essential. Now that she has to come under your authority, all of a sudden she starts trying to diminish your authority and your money doesn't matter and you're not as smart as you think you are and you're condescending. All of a sudden, your financial accomplishment, your mental accomplishment, your emotional discipline, all of a sudden she tells you that those are negatives. Not that she's better, by the way. Not that she's somebody you can look up to and admire. She's completely told from the flow up, but she's going to tell you that yours are bad. So think of it like an emotionally abusive mother. She starts chipping away at those positives and telling you that your positives are, in fact, negatives. So now you start questioning your positives, not believing in them. All right. Next thing, she's going to try to rally troops to the cause. So this is when you see him talk to her mama and them, auntie and them, the gal pals. So now we're going to see if we can get some more people to the cause. These are some of these subtle ways in which they'll try to do that kind of thing. Competing against you. Well, let's take a look at all these folks who agree with me. I don't even know these niggas. Why do I care what they think? Next, she's going to attempt to superimpose other people's knowledge and wisdom over yours.
Pastor, yeah, all that, yes.
So now she's going to start telling you about these online gurus and Oprah Winfrey's people and all this old mess. She starts coming to you, all the Steve Harvey, all these people, and coming to you with their philosophies and talking about how you need to listen to them and how, I was listening to this person today. Hold on a second. I'm the number one authority under my roof. I don't need anybody else to tell me how it's supposed to go. And if I'm not the top authority where you're concerned, if you're bringing other people to me talking about their knowledge and their wisdom, I don't need their knowledge and their wisdom. I know how to run my program. All you're doing right now is exposing that you are in revolt against it. I didn't ask for help running my ship. I did not ask for their assistance on conflict resolution. I am conflict resolution. I don't need some whack job you saw on TikTok, on some TikTok video, sitting up here schooling to me. I don't need that. But if she's doing that, just understand those are the subtle little ways that she shows she's in competition against you. Next, let me just say it to you here, fellas. If your chick is over the age of 40 talking about going back to school, that's not a subtle sign of competition, is that, Prince?
No.
That's not even subtle. If your woman is over the age of 40 and she's talking about education, wanting to get a raise, spiritual gurus, these are very overt signs that she's in competition against you. She's talking about gurus to show that she's smarter than you, or at least claims she is. Now she wants to go to school because she can't outdo your income, but she does want to challenge you. And by that, I mean that this is going to be her veto power. I don't have to do what you say. I'm gearing up to go to war against you. The first thing you're going to do is you're not going to financially support me when I go into revolt against you. When I turn on you and start trying to stab you in the back, you're obviously going to pull your financial support. So let me make sure that I've prepared that for myself so that when I get ready to pull this double cross, I've got my insurance policy. Right. So fellas out there, and you and I both understand, getting your degree is a young woman's game. She's supposed to have all that sussed out by at least the age of 32, 35. That's supposed to be done. That chick is still sitting up here. She's with you and everything's okay. And she's still pursuing that. She's showing you, hey, nigga, I'm coming for your neck. I'm coming for you. At some point, I'm going to come challenge you. And I'm talking about a full frontal assault. I'm coming at you. And I know you're going to fight. I know you're going to pull financial support because that's obvious, natural. So I'll just make sure I got that cushion behind me, and this will help support me when I do decide to double cross you.
Self-sabotage. So they're jealous of your financial stability. Is that what you're saying? That's one of the biggest motivations?
Well, no, I mean, they just envy you and they're hateful of you, period. So your financial ability is something they're envious of. Why couldn't I do that? Or more to the point, well, I could have done that if I had had more time. I'm just as smart as you. My accomplishments are just as valid as yours. You notice when it comes, like, for example, to child rearing, you've never heard a man say, well, my contributions to the children are just as valid as yours. I could have burped them too. I could have breastfed them too. You never hear men say that. And yet she will sit up here and say that to you because you have to watch out for when you're dealing with a female she's a stew of inadequacies, and she hasn't made peace with herself about what she isn't. That you're not as smart as you tell yourself you are. Because it's not about you're dumb. You tell yourself that you're a genius. And maybe from your childhood, you felt like you were unappreciated. So now you've been on this crusade your whole life. I'll show them. But the folks you want to show are either no longer there or don't give a damn. So now you're just out here trying to find the victims. I'll show you. And now she's sitting in your house and all that negative energy, all this negative vendetta and grudge, she's now directing it at the only person she can get her hands on, you.
And they'll often say, men pay attention to them, and women pay attention to it too, because they'll often say, I was going to get a house anyway. I was going to do this anyway. Why didn't you do it? I don't like the way our finances are. Well, I'll check a woman. I say, well, you barely pay enough to even pay the house. You make enough to pay the house note. Oh, why would you say that? What? No, you're sitting here saying, I don't know how to manage the money. What are you doing? What are you bringing to the table?
Well, here's the great contradiction of all that, though, Prince. If that chick was, I've used this before, if that chick was with Idris Elba or Michael B. Jordan, she'd be working 3 jobs and just happy to take a selfie with him. You show up and all of a sudden you got to buy a house and a car and a boat and a yacht and vacations and credit cards. So the guy who could do everything, she shows what her value in him is. Just understand that. And the bottom line is, anybody try to say, well, those are celebrities. That's no difference. He's a man like anybody else. What we're showing, what I've proven to you is that there is a man that you don't have that requirement of. You don't have that requirement of Michael B. Jordan. You don't have that requirement of Idris. Why is it you have it of me? And the truth is, I don't value you like I do them. See, if I was with them, I would value that. I don't value you that way. Fellas, recognize open signs of contempt. Recognize when she is openly expressing contempt. Don't tell yourself these are far-flung fantasies. Every guy who's disappointed today and red-pilling and black-pilling himself out overlooked these things, and when it finally showed itself, oh man, she would have did that for them. Yeah, okay, that's the whole point. And that's why these females look for a guy whose sex is new to him. He's been sitting on the outside looking in. He doesn't have a lot of access. He's not very desired. He doesn't know how to move in them circles very much. He's very square and socially awkward. He's mocked and laughed at by his peers. But he at least is a little nerd who went away from the anime conventions long enough to make a little bit of money, at least enough to keep her boat afloat. So he's the low-hanging fruit. See, here's the issue, Prince. Fellows out here today don't understand that low-hanging fruit is not cheap or easy. You just think it is. You just think it is. Low-hanging fruit may be easy to get, but it's not going to be cheap. And it's going to camouflage itself because it has to. And fellas will sit up here and play along with it, thinking that they're getting over on her. Oh, well, if she being fake, then I'm in the driver's seat. And she sticks around long enough, she maneuvers you into a position. That's what eventually ends up happening.
That's exactly what happens. And my last statement, brother, I want to ask you, when you brought up passion, how does passion relate to power dynamics? It's important for a woman to have passion towards you, but how is that related to power dynamics? I just want a clarification on that.
Passion from a woman determines the amount of sacrifice that she will give.
Okay.
And sacrifice, listen to me, people. Sacrifice is the ultimate currency. That is the ultimate value that you get from a woman. How much is she willing to sacrifice for you? She willing to sacrifice every damn thing for Idris. She willing to sacrifice every damn thing for Michael B. Jordan. Her willingness to sacrifice and the magnitude to which she's willing to do so, that determines her value in your life. That is the measurement that you use against her exes. The only question you got to ask yourself is she willing to sacrifice more for me than she was for any of them? And if that answer is not but brother, absolutely, I gotta tell her to stop doing so much. If that's not your answer, I'm telling you right now, this relationship ends badly because the passion component is missing. Well, Jason, how do you define it as passion? Prince, passion is uncontrollable. It's biological. It's reflexive. Passion isn't something that you think about. So that's why I told you all before, when a female sits up here and tells you, well, I didn't really like you when I met you, but I fell in love with him later. Bull crap. That's not the way that works. Prince, you don't gain passion later. No. Either you got it or you don't. Either this is the man and he's got it or he isn't. She's just saying that to you because she realizes if your dumb ass thinks about it long enough, you realize, hey, she don't really fool me like that. But there's a number of dudes you can name that she did.
Of course.
And one fella in particular that she was willing to kill or die for. That's why I tell fellas out here right now, Chris Rock told the damn truth on Never Scared. That was a critical, historic comedy special. It's comedy, but it was a teaching thing. When he said, fellas, if you haven't contemplated, he said, people, if you haven't contemplated murder, you ain't never been in love. You haven't. If a female has not had an uncontrollable reaction to you, then she's not passionate. If a female is sitting with you and everything is quiet tones and she's reserved and disciplined, dude, there ain't no passion. There's not. And she's showing you, I'm so glad that you would give all this to me and this house and this car and everything, because I would never do that for you. I'm so glad that you would extend yourself to this unsafe level, such as marriage. Marriage is very risky and unsafe for a man. I'm so glad you would extend yourself to that level, because I would never do that for you. I would never put myself in harm's way for you. I did that for Jason. I would never do that for you. I did that for him. I wouldn't do that for you. I wouldn't do crazy things for you. I did that for him. Just understand, when she's belittling you, she's talking down to you, that's not a good thing.
No.
Fellas, that's not a good thing. You've been taught and told that that's a good thing, and it's not. Yes, you want a level-headed female. No, you don't want a raving psychopath. But if the woman you're talking to is always demure and bordering on indifferent, she never gets triggered. The thought of you being with another woman does not trigger her. That's supposed to set off every alarm bell known to man. You got money. You got assets that are not protected from her. And the thought of you being with another female doesn't send her over the deep end. What is she in this damn relationship for? Because you just showed that she's not here for you.
Exactly.
She's not afraid of losing you. So let me get this straight. If she's in danger of losing her job, she gonna go ballistic. She gonna go nuts. If she's in danger of losing her sorority membership, she's gonna go psycho. She's in danger of losing you, and it's meh. Well, let me talk to my therapist. I'll call my mom.
No. Jason, I had a woman I was dealing with, and another woman walked into this room at where we were at school. She bust in the room, where you warmed up food in the microwave. So when a woman has passion for you, she gonna show it, especially if she sees another woman that's a perceived threat.
If you cannot discount that. You can't. Most guys are going to get missed over today because they're thinking of themselves in female terms. If a woman is not passionate about you, then this is a transaction, which means that in her mind, every time she opens her legs, she is doing you a favor. When a woman is passionate about you, she wants to be in bed with you. When a woman sees your relationship as a business transaction, she says, I'm doing you a favor. You've come here today I've deposited sex and you've come here today to withdraw some. I'm doing you a favor. This is not something I desire. I'm doing you a favor. I'll let you have the last word.
Jason, if a woman's passionate about you, marriage is not a requirement. Now, I know the women ain't gonna like that, but I'm telling you, if a woman is passionate about you, marriage is not a requirement. I don't have no desire to get married again. Given with my military benefits, I can't even walk around and have a woman call her wife. After I die, she can apply for my benefits. So I have to be very careful when I'm dealing with women. So yes, if a woman passionate about you, she's not going nowhere. She gonna be giving demands, but she ain't getting none to Michael B. Jordan. If he say no, we're not getting married, he don't even have to say it. She gonna just be there, be in the area. But thank you, brother.
Remember, that's a game that they play on males that they think don't know any better or aren't any smarter. That's a game that they play on them. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me go ahead and see if we can get Shrimco here on Zoom. Go ahead and turn your camera and your microphone on us for here, Shrimco. We'll see if we can get that going here. We'll give you a few moments to get that up and going. Then we're going to go ahead and jump over here to the phone lines. Let me go ahead and turn those on. We're at it. Okay, Shrimco, you got 5 seconds here to have everything turned on here. I don't know if you got your Mozambique mobile broadband on, but you have 5 seconds to have that on. If you don't, hear permanent vacation. So 5 more seconds here to go ahead and get that going. Okay, Shrimco is going on a permanent vacation. Over here on the phone lines, let's go ahead and get that up and going here. We got caller from area code 323. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, big brother Jason. This is brother Elijah calling out of Washington, D.C.
All right, brother Elijah out of D.C. What's on your mind?
Brother, I'm going to be very quick and brief with this question, but this is very triggering. Why is it, and I have to ask this question, brother, why is it that our sisters, every time they get into a good marriage, a good successful relationship, they always got to be the one to act up and show the hell off in front of the world? This is my question.
Okay, well, because what I've told you all before, it's not power if you can't abuse it. So you don't.
Sir.
What happens when you enter into a partnership with someone who doesn't want to be a partner? They want to be a parasite. They want power. So it's not power if you can't abuse it. The other problem here is that most men today don't actually have a substantive agenda for the female that they have with them. The standards are very low. And by standards being low, I mean the barrier to entry is too damn easy. First barrier to entry, a woman should have to qualify to be with you. She should have to qualify for that. That's not something that she's supposed to just get off the rip. She's supposed to put in work and sweat equity. You know what she would do for Idris or Denzel. She's supposed to earn being with you. It's not supposed to be a matter of weeks or months when she gets next to you. It's supposed to be a matter of years. So let me get this straight. It took her 4 years to get her degree, but she was able to marry you in 4 months. I want fellas to think about this for a few moments when you have been bamboozled by a chick because you've exposed your desperation. So she can get married. She's going to wait for 4 years to get her degree, but she's telling you got 4 months to marry her. So her degree, she willing to work for that for half a decade. But for you, oh no, you got to be ready to drop it off now. Understand when she's testing you to see how weak you are. And if you fail this test, that's it. You failed it. Because they're testing to see how weak your resolve is. And unfortunately, for most males today, their resolve is hella weak because, as I said, they can't afford to say no. Their options are so shallow and so few. He can't really afford to say no, and she can see it. She can see it.
I got a question, brother. Because you touched on something very good. What was it that caused our options to be very low in the first place?
Most males are unambitious, unaccomplished. They're raised in single mother homes, so they've been nerfed by their mothers. They're not ambitious. They're not trying to prove anything. You see, a man is supposed to walk around with a chip on his shoulder trying to prove something to the world. That's a benefit for a man. That is a negative and a liability when it's a woman. A man is supposed to be, carrying that grudge when he was a kid. See, that's what fuels a Mike Tyson or a Bill Gates or a Vince McMahon or a LL Cool J. That fuels us as men. That destroys females. When a female's walking around with a grudge on her shoulder and a chip on her shoulder and I'm going to prove something, she turns into Jada Pinkett. You see, as a man, we understand where that's supposed to be. We take that and we channel it and we send it out into the world to bring back what is ours. A female is simply going to use it to vent and burn down what's around her because a grudge in a female's hands becomes a scar on her soul. And when females are traumatized, remember, when men are traumatized, we point it outwards. When women are traumatized, they point it inward. That's why tonight's program is about being self-destructive. It hurts you as a man because she's getting ready to do herself in, but she's going to take you with her. You're going with her.
Yes, sir.
When she does. That's where it gets treacherous and dangerous, is that she's got self-destructive traits and you aren't putting distance between the two of you. You've opened yourself up to unlimited liability, which is exactly where she wants to go with it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, thank you for answering my question. All right, $1 brother.
Thank you very much for giving us a call, now, brother. We appreciate that. Let me see if I can check over here on Zoom. I got Daniel on Zoom. We'll give you a few moments here to go ahead and get that up and going here. Daniel, hi, brother. What's on your mind?
See.
Hi, brother. What's on your mind, Daniel?
How you doing? This is Daniel. You told me to come in 6 months. When I get my 6 months in trucking, I'm on the road right now. Sorry about that. I had to call in, check in real quick.
Oh, well, he took it seriously. Okay, so it's been 6 months. I told you to go ahead and give me a call back. So once again, folks, we're going to take a very brief aside here because I did not discuss high-value men. I build high-value men. So first thing, you got to put the building blocks together. So let me go ahead and do our quick run through here. So have you gotten your endorsement, sir?
Yeah, I got my endorsement. Since I'm not a citizen, I couldn't get my hazmat, but I got my tankers and my triples and doubles.
Okay, we got tanker, triples, doubles. So good job in that regard there. And how long we've been on the road?
This is my 6th month right now, but I'll go to my 7th. Okay. I'm about to get another pay increase next month.
Okay, and so obviously you're not training anymore. So how long have you been out there solo?
Solo for about 5 months. 5 months about.
Good. Coast to coast or regional?
Coast to coast right now, yes, sir.
Turning and earning. So that's exactly where you need to be in that regard. So this is everything we've been looking for here. So at this point right now, all you got to do is stack up your road miles and your experience. So this is the laborious part of it. So it gets to be monotonous. Believe it or not, most folks can't be monotonous. So this is the time period right here that makes or breaks y'all in this business and in life in general, not just this business, in life. it is so hard to get people to just do a repetitious task, even if that task will change their lives. It is very hard to do that. Now, where are you at? Where are you out at right now?
I'm in Kansas City. Well, I'm headed over to Kansas City. I'm in Iowa right now.
Okay. Oh, we're going to Kansas City, Kansas, or Kansas City, Missouri?
Oh, Kansas City, Kansas. Sir.
Okay. All right. So we're heading down Midwest. So, so far so good. Hopefully you won't encounter any inclement weather out there. So that's exactly what we want to hear right now. So, it's starting. It's a little bit early to tell. Please stay out of trouble out there. Try to keep anything from hitting you and you hitting anything. Little things like that. But so far, so by the way, how is it working out for you?
Now it's starting to pick up. So I used to work at a railroad. I called you January. I was in Chicago traveling, and you really put a fire up my ass. And I was like, okay, now I need to take the CDL stuff serious. Went on, got my CDL. But I do have one question. I have religious parents. My dad's a pastor or whatnot. And I have an apartment back at home or whatnot. I'm thinking about letting go back with my parents, but my parents are kind of like, how can I say this? Not saying they don't respect boundaries, but sometimes they could, since they're very religious, they tend to skew a little bit on the side. So I was asking, do you think I should move in with them, or should I just have my own space? And I have that respect. Like, since I moved out, I have way more respectful boundaries with my parents than when I moved in with them, when I lived with them.
At this point right now, I'm going to recommend to you that respectfully, you're going to want to maintain distance. And I don't mean distance isn't their problem. What I'm saying is that right now, I want you to start establishing independence. I want you to start establishing a mental and emotional mindset that you're going to have to stand on your own 2 feet. This is going to be critical because you cannot lead others if you cannot lead yourself.
That is true.
There's the real problem. So long as they are sitting there as a fallback position for you, you are never going to completely lean on yourself.
No, that's
and
true.
ultimately, you need to start having an attitude and a capacity that you are enough, that you got this, that you don't need a fallback position. You are the fallback position. And I know that can be new in some regards. It's not about disrespecting your parents or whatever, but the real thing is I want you to start making that your identity, that I'm the man, the buck stops here. When you do that, you're going to carry that into every other aspect of your life. You don't need to have a wingman in the truck anymore. I got this. I don't need them to send out roadside service. I'll take care of the tire. I don't need the female to do XYZ in my home. I run this. Whether I don't worry about the economy being up or the economy being down. I'm going to make it pop no matter what happens. If you don't establish that early, especially where you're doing this now, then you don't have full faith in your abilities. I want you to have complete faith in your ability to make this work where you are. If you got to do 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, so be it. But you're going to say, I'm the one who makes this happen. And then when other people start questioning you, you're automatically not going to believe it. How can you?
You say that because like my parents, I've been living on my own for like 3-4 years right now. And I could tell, like, since I've been in trucking, a lot of people kind of been skeptical, been saying, like, I don't think it's going to work. Things are starting to build up now. I made more than I did in my railroad, where I was making like $1,000, $1,200 after tax. Now I'm making a little bit more than that trucking. So what you said was very correct. And like, you taught me a lot, like how to be more like, more of a man, setting boundaries. That's why I was like, let me call in and ask. Cause I'm like, that boundary, I see I got way more respect when I'm by myself than if I see that I'm moving in with them.
Yeah, because what you just said is very, very important. How do you ever learn how to make your own rules if you're still under your father's household? You will just be an extension of his rules, which are an extension of his philosophies and his beliefs. At what point do you establish your own rules? At what point do you establish the rules that work for you, the rules that serve you? The rules where you don't answer to someone else. Dad, thank you very much, but you got me where I am. For case in point, I don't want to get personal about things, but you know, during one of my documentaries, I went to one of the places where white supremacists, right after Charlottesville riots, and I went to Noonan, Georgia. And I'm talking about, boy, they had literally hundreds and hundreds of law enforcement out there, protesters, everything else. It was loud, it was raucous, and, you know, there was a lot of concern about people getting killed and people dying. And, you know, I had told my parents, you know, I'm going down to Noonan, Georgia, because I want to go document this and film this, and I'm going to be on the front lines. I'm going to be in the middle of it. And quite frankly, they had a little consternation about it. They had some reservations. They were like, you know, you're our son, and you're going into after Charlottesville. They were concerned, and all I could tell them was, this is the man you raised me to be. Mm-hmm. This is the man that you taught me to be. So I understand you're concerned and I understand you're worried, but I need you to understand that this is the man you raised me to be. And I can't be a bystander. And I certainly don't want to go down there to die, but you raised me to be somebody who couldn't live just standing here watching. I can't do that. So this is the code that I've alliterated from what you taught me. Mm-hmm. You laid the foundation, and this is where I've taken it. At some point, I got to be my own man. And for you watching it on TV, that's fine. I don't have a problem with you doing that. For me, I got to go be frontline. Mm-hmm. That's where my life is. And by the way, that wasn't even the last place I was on the front line. And I went to Unite the Right too, and other places. And at some point, you have to make your rules and your code of conduct for you. The ones that you are going to live by, even if your parents don't necessarily agree with it. At what point does this become your life and your rules, your way? Because you're going to be responsible for it, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's bad.
How do you live your life by your dad's rules? He ain't going to be responsible for what happens to you. If you're going to be responsible for it, at what point do you fully accept and adopt and own your life? And just say, hey, win, lose, draw, it's up to me.
The funny thing you say that, because like, you know, hearing you talk and whatnot, it's kind of, when I listen to your philosophies and points you bring out, I tested them. And I'm not going to lie. You might tell a joke, but you never told a lie. Everything you said been standpoint. And I kind of, not resentment, but kind of hold like, oh, I've been taught this way. But in the real world, it doesn't work like this. And like, since I have religious folks, especially from Africa, they sometimes, you know, and it's like, dang, like I was not brought up to be really ready to be in the system. And now I'm like, yo, now I gotta be a man. When I see some racist things happen in the railroad, I had to be a man about, okay, I got my CDL now. I'm not gonna tolerate this. I'm gonna be out. So hearing your philosophy is really, it kind of is challenging in a way, because I was not really brought up like that to have like power and like.
I know it's new, but those are insecurities you're expressing. And once you adopt those, you start questioning your ability. And I just want you to understand one thing, young man, and I've reminded people about this before. If I could guarantee you, beyond the shadow of all doubt in your mind, that no matter what happens to you in the next 12 calendar months, that there is nothing that will occur to you that you will not be able to recover from, would there be anything that you would be afraid to do if I could guarantee you that? So I want you to understand. So in reality, what you just acknowledged is that's literally the only thing standing between you and anything in this life for you is your belief in yourself. Because the truth of the matter is, brother, there's not anything that's going to happen to you that you cannot handle. There's nothing that's going to happen. If you will adopt that as your core belief that, hey, no matter what comes around that corner, no matter what comes over that hill, I'm ready. I'm going to handle it. Well, I might not be ready for it, but between now and when it gets here, I will get ready.
No, that's facts. No, that's facts.
You are your foundation. You are your source of readiness. Stop doubting yourself. Do not be afraid to quote unquote fail. You cannot learn or succeed without failure. Failure is essential because even if I heard somebody say that failure is essential because even a person who succeeds without failure cannot tell you how they succeeded. Imagine
That's
going your
right.
whole life and everything you do just turns out well. Well, that means you can never tell us why it turned out well. A person who has tried and failed can tell you what way works, but more importantly, why it works, because he knows what doesn't work. He's fully fleshed it out. There isn't anything that's going to happen that you cannot handle. And what's happened is that you've been taught not to trust in yourself, that you are not enough, that you need your hand held, that if something happens, you're going to get knocked on your ass. Daniel, I assure you, you are going to get knocked on your ass. I promise you, you will. I'm not one of these folks telling you ain't going to have, oh, yes, you will. And you're going to dust yourself off and you're going to get back up again. That's what's going to happen when you get knocked on your ass. You're going to dust yourself off and get back up again. That's what you're going to do. So don't be afraid of anything. Don't you worry about anything happening. You get out there, you keep focused, you keep turning and earning, you keep your eyes on your goal. And from this day forward, you tell yourself, I'm enough.
Yeah, that's a Roger.
And do not question it.
That's a Roger. No, Roger that. I got one more question. I know I'm probably holding up the lines. With my folks too, they try to put me, what you say about what's going on today's with females and men is correct. There's a lady and it doesn't matter even religion or whatnot, because my parents tried to put me onto this girl, religious church girl, and I started putting her through her paces, like what you say and whatnot. And it was just, oh man, it was some of the things you hear is trying to get over. Like she told me, yeah, if I don't get married, I'm gonna have a baby with a guy, and if he acts up, he's not gonna see the kid. She says she's a virgin and she's a religious girl, and she's saying this. So what you're saying, if a man don't does his research and talk and, you know, really put somebody through their paces, you're really gonna get caught up out here.
Yeah, you know, I see this a lot from my African cats. I see this a lot from y'all, especially like your moms. Y'all's mothers put heavy pressure on you, especially once you get like over 30 years old. They start applying the pressure. They just want to get some chick in there because they worry about having grandkids. But you're worried about the world has changed, man. The world has changed from what it was when your mom and your dad were running around out here your age. Back then, a dude could have 4 or 5 kids by 4 or 5 chicks, and it just is what it is. Today, that's a felony for you. That's a felony if you try that. You'll lose your passport, your driver's license, your business license, your CDL. You'll lose everything you got if you try to do the exact same thing. The world has changed. The amount of liability that you face is radically different than the liability your dad faced, and the caliber and quality of female out here, oh goodness gracious, it's trash compared to when your mama was running around. So the pool of females that your dad chose from is not the pool that you're choosing from. The attitudes they're coming to you with are not the ones that they came to him with. You got to move differently. They're worried about you having grandkids. You worried about being permanently attached to a female who could wreck and destroy everything you're doing because she got the state to back her, something your mom didn't have.
Yeah, that's facts. No,
so
that's facts.
you cats got to move different. You know, just let mom say what she gonna say, but you got to move how you gonna move. So just, mom, thank you very much for your input, and she applying the pressure, and it's okay. I hear you. Thanks, mom. I gotta go. I-95 coming up.
Right about that, because she's been applying pressure, and I kind of got messed over with the girl I was dealing with. That showed, I'm not gonna lie, like everything you said about, you know, detached breath. She had those type of things that was going on, and I seen the red flags, but it kind of messed me up financially, like that I'm recouping right now.
Okay, it kind of messed me up financially. Did you get married to her?
No.
Did you get her pregnant?
Nah.
Nigga, you fine. So I can show you some stuff that ain't female related that could have done the same damn thing. So you're cool, you're fine. Lesson learned, because the real thing about it is she showed you, hey, this is how these women are moving. They really will do this. They're not joking. They're not playing. It's like, oh, she really will take it this far. But now that she's showing you that she'll do that, now you believe another one will. Now that you've lived it. So at this point, if you learn this early in life, dude, this cat's in their 50s and 60s still talking like Steve Harvey and ain't got the message yet. So if you get this early, dude, you good. You good. I haven't recovered from it. Dude, when it happened to me, it took me a decade. You're doing fine. You are doing fine. You got nothing to worry about. Just dust it off. you're good. I'll let you
Yeah,
have
I'm
the last
still working on cutting her off right now.
You still working on it?
Yeah, because it's complicated.
No,
but
it's not complicated. She got a nice ass. What are you talking about? It's complicated. It's not complicated at all. He's like, damn, Jason, she's trouble, but she got a nice ass. Dude, this is why fellas need options and choices, man. Because here's the problem, bro. You're going to sleep with her long enough, and you're going to start telling yourself you can keep her.
Oh, no.
Oh, you saying that, but yet you're telling me she's a problem, and yet we're not increasing the distance.
The distance is increasing. Now it's just, she's getting her own car and whatnot. So I'm like, once that happens, and because she's...
Okay, the distance is not increased because she's still the only one. The distance is not increased because she's still the only one. And don't sit up here and try to lie to me and tell me you got another one, because you sitting up here balking right now. You don't have another one. If you did, you would just keep it G and be like, well, Jason, I'm talking 2 or 3 of them. Jason Black is telling you right now, no, in the last couple of decades here, catch me with just one. Is catch me as you can.
Now, I don't have any viable, since I've been working a lot. So I ain't going to lie. I've been reliability over here. But still, it's like I'm trying to, I'm working on it.
Okay,
right now.
What you need to do is give her side chick application.
Man,
that's what she, and I'm talking about her official side chick application. Just like, hey, you're not, you don't qualify for main roster, but I'm giving you the side chick application. You can take it or you can leave it, and you need to say it just like that. Fellas, stop with the bull crap. Stop with the lies. Stop with the half-stepping. Stop with the nonsense. Tell her, look here, this is the level of benefit I'm really giving for it. Here's your side chick application. Take it or leave it. I got to hit this road. And then keep it moving. Y'all fellas got to stop equivocating and mush mouth and mealy mouth. If you're not feeling it like that, let her know what her position is so that you stop getting confused. You fellas gonna lay it with these chicks so long, you start getting confused. And brother, you are the picture of confusion right now. She's familiar to you. And that's the reason why you're not expanding options, because shakes. So she sees it, bro. You're not fooling nobody. I'm not gonna tell you what to do with her or not. I'm not one of these folks who tell folks to break up or whatever. What I'm saying is you're telling me she's a disciplinary problem. You're telling me she is. A disciplinary problem needs to be put in a safe, limited area where they can do no damage. And that doesn't just mean financially. It means financially, physically, emotionally. You don't want some chick wigging out and then you tell her you don't want to be with her and she calling the cops on you or scratching up your truck or trying to flatten your tires. If she doesn't have power over you, she gonna try to get some power over you. If she doesn't have leverage, if you haven't been dumb enough to give it to her, she's gonna try to take leverage. That's why she needs to be put in the position where she can do no harm. And if you are not making this a clear wall between the two of you, you're vulnerable. And all you're gonna do is turn what I gave you, you're just gonna turn this into trash too. So you got choices to make. I'm not going to tell you what to do about her, except, brother, you already said what the problem is. Now, if you keep walking, you're making this decision with your eyes wide open. And that's not going to be your daddy who did this one. This will be you.
That's facts. No,
so choose the man you're going to be.
That's facts. No, that's facts.
Thank you very much for checking in with us, your brother. Give me a holler back here in 6 months. We will see how that goes. Yeah, like I said, I mean, you know how it goes. And I'm not downing him for that, right? Jason, he's complicated. No, it ain't. She got a nice ass. It's not complicated. It's really easy. It's really, really easy. It is not tough to figure out. This is not advanced trigonometry. Jason, I've been laying up and the sex is good and she's convenient and she's familiar and my business ain't. Okay, until she starts acting a fool. Now, the previous 30 days of laying up, she just neutralized and grenaded all the value of that. This is why fellas got to have options. They got to have faith in themselves so that you got something in life going way bigger than her. So the second that she starts endangering that, you like, cut him off. Cut him off. Caller from area code 646, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Onan from Queens. What's up, Jason?
Onan from Queens. What's on your mind, brother?
Yes, sir. You had made a point about marriage earlier in the program about it not being a business necessarily, but more so, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, But you had said something about a marriage being the decision of the woman to continue the bloodline of the man, if I got that correctly.
Dr. Frances Cress Welsing explained it, and I don't think anybody has explained it as well as her or stated as well as her in ISIS papers, when she said that a woman is supposed to decide whether or not this man is allowed to reproduce himself, to replicate himself, which is literally what getting her pregnant would do. It would make a copy of you. Therefore, the women are supposed to be the quality control. They're supposed to be the gatekeepers of which males have proven that they are worthy of replicating themselves. So yes, in that regard, that's the female side of the component. There's a masculine side of it, but that's the female side of the component, is that she determines which males are worthy of being allowed to replicate himself.
Okay, because I've always gone with the notion that that marriage was actually a business contract, that it was a consolidation of the resources of the man and the woman in order to make both financially solvent. And it was the first time that I ever heard somebody say that it actually wasn't a business contract.
Yeah, those are things on top of that. Those are things on top of it. You know, when you talk about finances and things like that, those are things stacked on top of that. Because throughout human history, whether you're talking about state marriage or, you know, tribal marriage or whatever, it wasn't about, you know, mixing quote unquote riches or whatever. It was about having a male who would provide and protect for this female in order to continue the tribe. Because by definition, throughout human history, the middle class has only existed in Western culture for 60, 70 years. Well, what about the previous 160,000 years of civilization? So by definition, people were not affluent. They weren't even middle class. You had basically, you know, for lack of a better term, impoverished people, but they were not rich people. They were not middle class. So where are the resources that they would be merging and combining? For the aristocracy, well, sure. For the royalty and the oligarchs, well, sure. But those have always been a very small fraction of a percentage. What about the other 99.99999% of the population that doesn't have any resources to mingle or merge in a marriage? And yet they've been procreating too. So what are they doing it for, since we've just established that they have no resources to merge?
All right. Well, I believe, from what I've read, right, many couples in the past, they would have a lot of children if they were married, in order for those children to serve as labor hands.
There you go.
On the farm.
So the resource that you're referring to was not financial; it was human resources. So for the majority of the population, the resource that they had comes later. That's not something you came to the marriage with. You got the marriage together so that we could develop human resources. But it wasn't like you had it. And furthermore, how much work are you going to have to put in to get these little people ready to be a resource? And then when you consider average life expectancy and infant mortality, what it was before the 20th century, like I say, this wasn't a merging of rich people or, okay, she got some money and he got some. No, that wasn't what it was. Truth be told, that's not what it is today. That isn't what it is today.
Okay.
So yes, it is.
I'm glad you gave me.
Let me try it like this instead.
On that.
It's a contract that can have financial ramifications. It's one that can, but it doesn't require it. Now, for you and me to get a loan for a car or a house or a business, well, that has financial ramifications by requirement. Marriage, however, you can have two broke folks, and that's mostly what you see get married. You got two people there and they get married, and if they do start fighting, they're going to fight over crumbs. If they do start fighting, they're going to fight over debt. We're going to fight over the house. Well, the house has a mortgage. So you're fighting over a debt is what you're fighting over. And that's really the reality of it. So this idea that it's a business arrangement, these are people looking at the aristocracy and the wealthy and the affluent and projecting those people's circumstances onto everybody else. Oh, Nan, think about this for a few moments. If you know 4 or 5 of your relatives, how much wealth were they fighting over when they got divorced? This nigga had a kid by somebody or she cheated with someone. Well, they wasn't divvying up anything.
Yeah. Well, I believe in my family, for instance, that there was a lot of religious. I guess there was a lot of religion that was tied into it. So it was looked at more as, I guess, fulfilling a divine purpose on earth rather than consolidating
certainly a social,
that the two people had.
A social rationale.
I'm sorry if I'm struggling to articulate this.
No, it's a social rationale, and once again, but that social rationale once again doesn't require finances. So once we get into the business part of it, it's like, okay, does that require finances? So they were doing it because there was a religious edict, go forth and prosper and, be fruitful and multiply. And that's cool too. That has its place in this world. But don't get it confused. It doesn't suddenly become a financial issue. By definition, that one right there is telling you it's not financial by its very definition. You're doing this for the sake of God. And that's all you need to. As long as the kids are fed, that's pretty much it. There's nothing there that says that you all have to be affluent, that your prosperity must increase, or the marriage is trash. There's no part of the religion that says that.
Mm-hmm. Hey, man, I appreciate it. I'll land my plane there. I don't want to hold it up too long. So $1 brother.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. And that is The Biz. We appreciate that. Like I say, there's lessons to be learned from that. I know it can sometimes be hard to decipher in many ways, and you're trying to wrap your head around it and whatnot. Marriage's purpose, though, is it's not a business it's not a business transaction. You can try to impose that on it. It certainly can have financial ramifications. I'm not saying it doesn't, but most marriages actually don't. The ramifications of that come later. That usually comes later. That's why in the modern era, because remember, your great-grandfather didn't have to worry about a mortgage. Most of you, your grandfathers didn't have to worry about a mortgage. So just think about the things that you do complain about today when it comes to a marriage. Well, this is really about your ability to navigate debt instruments. Your grandfather didn't have a mortgage. Your grandmama paid for cash for her house. They paid for cash for their car. They didn't have a car note or a house note. So the dichotomy today is of people dealing with, okay, how marriage can complicate the debt instruments because of the advent of community property. That's why a lot of males today are getting smart. And if they do get married, the heifer wants the house. He walks away from the house. Bye. Think about that for a few moments. A lot of these fellas out here, hey, she ain't going to get the house. You ain't going to date that for me. Some of these fellas today are getting smart and just saying, you know what? Yeah, you keep the house. Yeah, bye. Those are usually the fellas, though, who file for divorce themselves. The ones who file for divorce, like, yeah, you're going to get the house. Matter of fact, Your Honor, yeah, go ahead and give her this damn thing. Bye. She can have the house and the car. I'm buying a new house and a new car for the new chick I'm with. So, yeah. Tell her she can have the house and the car note. She can have the house and the mortgage. Bye. No, I'm not fighting her over anything. She can have all that. She can have all that. I'm not discussing dating. I'm discussing power dynamics. Caller from area code 347. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, 1 second. Yeah, 1 second. Sorry about that. Trying to get you off speaker. Yeah, Jason. This is Lex from Brooklyn.
Okay. Lex from Brooklyn. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. In terms of the conversation. So I was thinking about something that you mentioned in terms of like the concept of survival sex. So can you relate, or I guess, can we pair the concept of survival sex to women who willingly sabotage their own situations. In terms of this whole case, the case with Tyrese and everything, she had a good thing going. She had a good situation. However, can we say, I guess, the concept of survival sex could be applicable in this case?
Survival sex becomes applicable for her now. It wasn't applicable for her before. All right, let me go ahead and just lay out the bare bones. And eventually I'm going to do a whole program here where we break down survival sex. But let me just go ahead and give you a primer on it right now. A man has his highest value while he is single. A woman is striving to improve her value by getting married. A man's value takes a nosedive once he gets married. A woman's value peaks when she does get married. A woman being out here in the streets tanks her value. But a man being available raises his. So a woman raises her value by consolidating on a man of value. A man raises his value by having as many options as he can. So it's really about him finding a female who's worth sacrificing those options for. Once that female has consolidated on that man, now she's going to do things of permanence that will permanently impact her value, like having children, like carrying his name, like integrating herself into his life, or if she starts picking up his philosophies and his worldview. Those are things that will permanently impact her value, that another man knows walking in the door, he's going to be dealing with all of that with her. Those are going to be baggage issues, which is fine if she stays with that man. But if she leaves him and re-enters the sexual marketplace and now starts trying to glum on and attach to somebody else, that new guy is going to be dealing with all kinds of issues that are remnants of where she was from. She's carrying a bunch of baggage, and no man desires a female with baggage. No man wants it. You might tolerate it or take it, but you don't want it. So for her, and her priority now, and here's where the survival sex comes in. Her priority is going to be trying to regain the status that she was at. So now sex is going to have to be used strategically. If the money done run low, she's going to have to start using her sexual wiles more strategically now. This is how you end up with hoes that all of a sudden, they don't want to roam the streets like that. All of a sudden, they're trying to find one little simp bastard dude to see if we can nail him to the wall. And she's got no passion for him. She's got no real enduring interest. It's all very objective and transactional. She's just as naked and raw and shameless as she can be with it, but she's in need. She needs somebody to reestablish her position where she was as quickly as possible, so she doesn't have the luxury of passion anymore. Now she's reduced to having survival sex. She's got bills to pay. She's got a lifestyle she's trying to regain. She's got social status that she's trying to reassert. She's got debts and issues that she's trying to smooth over. So now she's got to do survival sex. So the type of guys that before she wouldn't give the time of day, now she got to make them frontline. Now she's got to start doing that. Not because she wants to, but because now it's a matter of survival.
Okay. All right. I'm going to land my plane right here. Just one last question. So as it pertains to just us common folk, you know, when I mean common, you know, just folks that are not celebrities. If we just elaborating on the concept of survival sex, could we say even in practice today, is it even practical today? Like no one's really, I mean, just given the fact that people know what the deal is it even worth women today to even try practicing it?
Well, they already are. I mean, they're doing it in numbers today. There are enough guys out here who are brainless, feckless, desperate, shameless, hopeless simps. So the women are fighting amongst two groups of males. The majority of the females are fighting for the guys in that top 1%, but they'll settle for a guy in the top 5% until you're settling. And then the rest are out here fighting for a shameless beta simp who lacks any alpha abilities or masculinity really, but he's willing to sacrifice himself because females generally reject him. So now the females look for a guy who can be gotten over on. And that's why I'll explain that here earlier tonight. There's a good amount of competition for the females who have aged out, the ones who are no longer really, men are not competing for them. The phone has stopped ringing. Those chicks are the ones in knife fights for the biggest simp that they can find. The biggest productive simp that they can get their hands on. And the problem with him is he becomes Will Smith. That's the problem with him. She'll get him, but she's like, yeah, I'm good. Once I got myself solidified with you, I will not respect you. Because at the end of the day, she can't fool herself into thinking that she does. She knows why she's there. She knows she's there because her real options fell through for whatever reason, even if she blew them up. So it's like, okay, if I gotta be with you, a woman can't submit to a simp because she knows by definition she's doing him a favor. Just by giving him attention, she's like, nigga, you too square and awkward. You should be glad I'm talking to you at all. And that's really her attitude about it, and that's really how she feels. So it's impossible for a simp to flex on her. An alpha can flex, a producer can flex, a simp can't flex because she's like, nigga, females don't feel you. I'm just the one who was willing to take your square, corny, awkward ass. There was no competition to get you. Now, if she gets upset with you, she's going to tell you the truth. That's how she really feels. So is it happening out here? Yeah, it is happening, but they're having to fight for them like they are fighting for producers. But most guys today will entertain it because women today are willing to take attention as a substitute for money. Hell, you got chicks out here today fighting for likes on social media. They'll take that as a substitute until something real comes along. The biggest simping in the world right now is likes and Queen Mother Goddess Mayat talk in comment sections. That right there is floating these females' egos until something real comes around. When you think about it in that regard, they can float for years. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller America code 248. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Karma, and I'm calling from Pontiac, Michigan. Hi, Jason.
All right, Karma from Pontiac, Michigan. What's on your mind?
I wanted to ask you one question. What do you think about a young man that's 24 years old that wants to get a vasectomy, but before he gets a vasectomy, he wants to put his sperm cells in a freezer?
I think that in the modern era, this kind of silly talk, when we were younger, this was just extremist silly talk. Now they've got access to so much information that is useless, stupid and dumb as hell.
It's useless.
That's stupid and dumb as hell because a vasectomy is a surgical procedure. You don't go have surgical procedures that could sterilize you. I'll put my sperm in a freezer. You're assuming that freezer will keep them preserved properly. What if the vasectomy sterilizes you and the freezer breaks? Now what?
That's true.
So you're taking tremendous risks. And what this really means is he's dealing with neuroses and anxiety, and he needs to ask himself, where did I pick up these anxieties from? Are these anxieties that are results of my behavior, or am I allowing other people to imprint their problems and their lack of discipline and their issues onto me?
Yeah, because, if you have, look at Drake. Have you ever heard this story about Drake, where he was such a prominent individual and he would put chemicals into a condom or whatever he was doing?
Yeah,
so
Drake was certainly taking.
It's just getting weird out here.
Well, Drake was taking proactive measures, and that's perfectly fine. The real thing is, guys like Drake have had so much sexual access to so many females that some of this stuff that you consider to be outrageous or whatever, that's fun to them. You know what I'm just saying? It's not like he's hurting for female options. So he's like, okay, tonight we're going to literally spice things up. Let me put some hot sauce in this Trojan here. And they're just doing stuff for fun. Because here's the real thing. The chick who made that allegation, Drake had absolutely no intentions of permanence with her whatsoever. None. So with that being the case, how the evening turned out was completely inconsequential to him. He wasn't trying to stick around with her. He wasn't trying to do any of that. So that was just a wild week. It was just a wild evening for him to amuse himself. He literally did that think about that for a few moments. Who does something like that? Somebody trying to amuse themselves. And by the way, the fact she was so upset about it tells you that it was valid to do. She obviously said and did some things that let him know, okay, you real trifling and treacherous. I got something for that. And yeah, he could have just kicked her out and sent her home. He's like, you know what? Let me be a little more creative than that. I could just kick you out, but let me be a little more creative. Let me get this Tabasco sauce, then kick you out.
Right. Let me set a trap. And she fell for it. So what about a man of real prominence? What would you suggest for a real man of prominence or suggested prominence as yourself? You worked hard as a young man. You already told us the story of you coming up as a young man and the hard work and the blood, sweat, and tears that you had to endure to become the man you are today. And how did you, well, I don't know. Do you have children?
No, I don't have any biological children, but as you all can tell, I've got thousands of vicarious ones. So my kids are turning out pretty good.
Exactly. So how does a man of prominence or suggested prominence, how does he not, what would you suggest for a man that looks good, has all the suggested things? He's tall, good skin, good teeth, good genes, makes money, and he may not be a Drake or a Future, or not Future, but like millions of dollars, but he's getting there, and he's young. What would you suggest for a young man like that?
I would
to
suggest
eliminate the prospect of him being a baby daddy.
Well, first of all, he has to value himself. It's really just that simple. It's not rocket science. You need to value yourself. If you see yourself as a leader, you see yourself as a boss, you see yourself as that dude, you see yourself as a man with purpose, you ain't gonna be just throwing your genetic material around all willy-nilly.
Period.
A fella who doesn't have purpose and doesn't value himself, he doesn't care what he's doing sexually. But then again, if you take a look at the rest of his life, it's not just his sex life that reflects that recklessness and irresponsibility. The rest of his life shows that too. How you do one thing is how you do all things. The reality is that the baby daddy doofuses out here are really only about 20% of the population. Most males today don't have children. So that's not really a big issue that's going on. So a fellow who is irresponsible, you can see the guys who are going to become baby daddies years before it ever happens. Like, oh, this little dumb nigga here, he drives the car with his damn feet. So it's like, okay, you going to have about 4 or 5 bastard kids. So it's not like it takes divining rods and a crystal ball. You can see the clowns from a mile away. How they do one thing is how they do all things. It's never a surprise. It's never a shock. It's never that. So if you have a fellow who's got a purpose in this world, he's not, and he values himself and he recognizes what his value is. He's like, wait a minute, it's a come up to have my baby. A chick getting pregnant by me, that would be a come up. Okay, well, if he sees it that way, then he's like, hey, I ain't gonna just let any old body eat off me. It's not gonna work that way. That guy doesn't have these problems.
But how do you eliminate? Okay, but a man does like to have sex, and he likes beautiful women.
Yes,
and
but you have standards.
Will see the prospect in him, and they want to
okay,
trick
but
him.
they
so
can,
how did you
ma'am,
not get tricked?
they can want whatever they want. I reiterate. If you see yourself as the man and you have a purpose, you're also nobody's fool. You're not letting females lead you, you're leading them. By definition of what you just said, the women are coming to you. So why do I have to acquiesce to what any woman wants me to do? I've got options. They're coming to me. So your statement about, well, the women want this, they can want anything they want to. I'm running the show. And if you truly believe that you're running it, then I don't have to negotiate. And if she hits me up with the where's this relationship going, I'm telling her apparently it's going to Uber. Apparently is where it's going, because at the end of the day, I'm going to set the rules for this. And as I told the young man earlier, you tell her, hey, you can like it or leave it. That's literally what it is. So if that's truly what a man believes, and that's truly how he lives, then that's what it's going to be. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Yeah, she's going to have to see if she can get her grandson straightened out and let him know. It's hanging out with some of them hood rats he's frequenting. Trip you up every time. Trip you up every time. The moral of the story. What is the moral of the story here? The moral of the story is that Samantha Lee is now having seller's remorse. She told herself, I'm light-skinned, niggas dig me. How could I'm not over the age of 40. How could I possibly lose? I got a Tyrese. There's a whole bunch of other Tyreses out there, and they're all just waiting for me. So it doesn't matter what I do with this one. Why, I've got unlimited options. And what happened is she found out what Megan Good, Lala Anthony, Tia Mowry, and the rest of them found out. Narcissism eats everything around it right before it devours itself. And your fantasy that there's this endless supply of Tyreses is meeting the reality that, there was just one. There was just one. And now she's out here with the unenviable task of attempting to replace that man. And you understand, she wants a fella of equal or greater caliber. When she talks about her problems in the dating world, see, the average female is going to downgrade. The average female will downgrade. They'll get a fella, oh, he's uglier, he's got less money, he has no status, he's shorter, he's dumber, he's not as respected, he's got nothing to offer. The average woman's willing to downgrade. This woman's not willing to do that. Think about this. She's 33 years old. She's not willing to downgrade. As a matter of fact, she's telling herself, I bet you I can do better than Tyrese. At least I should be able to. How you gonna tell me I can't? I got Tyrese. She doesn't see that as I was damn lucky. She sees that as, that's right, I'm that chick. But now reality is starting to come into view. Reality is starting to come into relief. The truth and the facts of the matter are starting to become clear and come into focus. Now she's out here and been by herself, and she's been on the dating world, and she's been looking to see if there is yet another buyer. She's been looking to see that. And in the distance, somewhere in the distance out there, she can hear that faint sound. Somewhere in the distance, there's the faint sound that she hears, and it's getting a little bit louder. Day after day is getting a little louder. And then she starts saying to herself, I wonder if I can get with a guy who makes Now, Tyrese is a multimillionaire, but I wonder if I can get with maybe I could get with a guy who's, he makes $500,000 a year. Oh my God, I'm slumming.
Auntie, chill!
Maybe I can take a guy who makes $500,000 a year. Well, maybe I can get with a guy who's got 3 or 4 kids. Damn! Well, maybe I can get with a guy who's older than Ronald Isley.
And deal with it, nigga.
Well, maybe I can get with a guy who's 300 pounds.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
Maybe I can get with a guy he's got a little funny voice, or maybe he's a little awkward.
Alrighty then.
All of a sudden, she starts shifting. I can compromise this. I can compromise that. Well, maybe I can compromise a little bit more there. Maybe I can get with a guy with this anime fetish.
Join me, and I will complete your training.
Maybe I can get with a guy who's, a little childish.
Cookie! Nom, 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 nom. Oh, nom, nom, nom.
Starts sitting there and saying to herself, well, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can compromise it. Maybe I can compromise there. Maybe I can compromise. Maybe I can compromise a little bit. Okay, can't get another Tyrese. Maybe I can compromise a little bit more with her mother. Y'all know her mama is sitting there the entire time telling her, don't worry, you got Tyrese, you'll get another one. Don't worry, Jesus will provide. Don't worry, there's plenty of men who would love to be with you. Yeah, there you go. Do you all think that her ego will allow her to walk out in the public view because she sees herself as a star? Do you all think that her ego will allow her to be seen, proudly go out there day after day with a man of half the status of Tyrese? Do you really think, based on everything you've seen and heard from her, that her ego will allow her to do that? Or do you think that she is roaming around Los Angeles and New York right now trying to see if she can find one of them fellas there, one of them, who'll be willing to take his chances on her and roll the dice? Do you really think that right now she's telling herself, I can't do better than Tyrese? I better just find some little pencil-head, noodle-neck geek who'll fool with me for real. Do you really think that's what she's telling herself right now? That I can't do better than Tyrese? Folks, she wouldn't have divorced him if she didn't think that she could do better than him. She wouldn't have divorced him if she didn't think that. But reality's coming into view. And the truth is coming into focus. And she's realizing that she's sitting out there without a chair when the music has stopped. And she's hearing the music oh so faintly. She's hearing the music oh so faintly. Oh boy, I'm looking around, and by the way, I'm over the age of 30. I'm supposed to be coming down the home stretch, and in reality, I'm locked in Mortal Kombat with this divorce, and oh boy, this is not going as quickly or easily as my mama and them told me it was gonna be, and I'm not getting the offers that my mom said I was going to get. I'm not getting those, so. She wanted her self-destructive, beautiful tragedy fantasy, and now she's getting it. Now she's getting it. How's that working out, ma'am? We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to The Business, welcome to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we are here. If you haven't joined our Patreon, the link is in the description. We've been flame throwing over there for the past 6-7 months, as a matter of fact, and it will continue to roll on unabated. You definitely want to go ahead and join us for that. We do that every weekend. You are welcome to join us. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes this broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will self-destruct.